the first Saturday in August at the August place to be. Saratoga Racecourse in Saratoga Springs, New York. That crowd, they've been at it for hours. And around here, where the party's at full throat, you don't select your seats, you race for them. As for the horses in the main event, they'll race for a piece of Saratoga history. National Treasure is in from California, last year's Preakness winner, the favorite in the 97th running of the Whitney, trained by one of the best, all-time, two-time Triple Crown winner, Bob Baffert.
Live look, Saratoga Racecourse, this venue on this day, always special. The weather, it's gorgeous now. However, overnight, heavy rain, a major factor, major changes, but come 5:42 Eastern, the Whitney will take place just outside the paddock. Welcome, everyone. I'm Lafitte Pinkai. The best news, you will see the Whitney. And make no mistake, this is one of the most prestigious races anywhere in North America. The bad news, the weather, hard to believe now, I get it, but heavy overnight rain and over the last 24 hours leading to a cancellation and postponement of all turf races. So now, today's race is brought to you by Claiborne Farm. Looks like this, you're going to see the Grade 1 test presented by Ticketmaster, but 2 of the 5 races on this broadcast postponed. Saratoga Derby and Troy next Saturday. We mentioned the test, the lure on the main track, and finally 97th running of the Whitney, plus Kentucky Derby of Standardbred Racing, the Hambletonian, live from Meadowlands. So I welcome in my friends and colleagues, handicapper Jonathan Kinchin, New York Racing Association analyst Andy Serling, multiple Grade 1 winning trainer Tom Amos. Andy, wanted to start with you. You've spoken with the officials here. The cancellation, postponement of the turf stakes races just before noon, kind of late. How do they come to that decision?
The safety of the horses and the riders are of paramount importance in every decision that we make at the New York Racing Association. And listen, while understandably, some of you are very disappointed not to see stars of the game like Cogburn in the Troy, like the Grade 1 Saratoga Derby. The heavy overnight rains that Lafitte alluded to forced us to move those races off of the grass. And the decision was made that in the greater good, we'll run those races next Saturday on their intended surfaces, and we hope you'll be able to join us for that.
Yeah, not ideal, but top priority safety for the thoroughbreds. And like Andy said, yeah, those races next Saturday right here on Fox Saratoga Saturday. As for the Whitney, Grade 1, $1 million purse, 11 strong, number 6, Il Miracolo. Scratched yesterday. Breeders' Cup Challenge event, win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. More on that throughout the broadcast. Number 3, National Treasure, 9-5. Morning line favorite. Tom, for someone watching who might only watch 3 horse races a year, why the Whitney? Why this race? What makes it so special?
Well, it's a stallion-making race. I mean, it's the kind of race that if you win it, you can have a career after the racetrack to be a stallion, and there's plenty of money in that. 2 of the last 3 years, the winners, White Abarrio, Knicks Go, they went on to win the Breeders' Cup Classic. One's still running, White Abarrio. He'll be a great stallion one day, and Knicks Go is at the Stallion Shed.
We talk a lot about Grade 1 races. This is a Grade 1 plus to me. This is one of the most important races I think that we'll see all year, and in about a couple of hours, we'll probably have seen the fastest horse in the country on dirt, hopefully getting his picture taken in the winner's circle. That's National Treasure. He's got a chance to kind of have his coming out party, his solidifying party is what I really wanted to say, in a couple of hours.
National Treasure has the right trainer in his corner, and Bob Baffert, the right jockey in the saddle. Flavien Prat, 31-year-old French native, knows National Treasure well, aboard for his last 4 races, 2 Grade 1 victories, including the Met Mile Belmont Stakes Week. As we welcome champion jockey Richie Migliore to the broadcast. Richie, this is Pratt's 3rd full summer here at Saratoga. We're about at the halfway point. How's it going for him so far?
It's going extremely well. Tied for the standings right now with Irad Ortiz, and 7 stakes wins already, and he rides the favorites in both the test and the Whitney today. And, you know, there's a window for every jockey, Lafitte, where they're at their best physically and their best mentally before, you know, the rigors of the job or, you know, injuries start ravaging your body and your experience level is caught up with your physicality. He is in his prime. He is right in the midst of that window, and seemingly, if he can stay injury-free, this window will stay over for quite a long time for him. You know, he was a champion apprentice in France, a Grade 1 winner there. He's ridden over 1,700 winners here now. He is just a rider's rider, a guy who can ride any kind of horse and fit any kind of situation. And I know, Acacia, you've been impressed with him as well.
Horse racing is that for many operations, it truly is a family affair. As we're here at the stall of Whitney contender Post-Time, who'll be represented by his trainer Brittany Russell and his jockey Sheldon Russell. As a married couple, the husband and wife team make their lives together at the racetrack. It's where they met, it's what brought them together, and their family operation continues with great growing success as they step in to try and win big races like the Grade 1 Whitney. But it's not just the two of them, it's their entire team throughout. You'll see exercise rider Emma Wolf, who's played a huge role in the development of Post-Time, who can be a little bit quirky in his training in the mornings. And throughout that team mentality, that team and family spirit, that's where the love of the horse comes through and the success continues to grow. We'll see what they can do going for the big one this afternoon in the Whitney.
Story Acacia, husband and wife competing together, that featured later in the broadcast. And now time for a completely different brand of racing. Here's the field, the Hambletonian, the Hambo it's called. Standard bred racing, not familiar, very different, no jockey, but there is a driver and a cart, as you'll see. Number 1, Carl, 6-5 morning line favorite over to Jessica Otten and Gabe Pruitt standing by at the Big M.
Happy Hambletonian Day in East Rutherford, New Jersey. It's a warm one, and we have a great Hambletonian on tap. It's the 99th edition, where 10 of those 3-year-old colt and geldings will head postward.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day, Jess. We all look forward to the first Saturday in August. It's America's Trotting Classic, the 99th edition. Over $1 million are on the line for the top 3-year-old colts of the sport. Everyone's been pointing at this date throughout their entire career, and as you said, it is a scorcher here in the Garden State.
It is. It's a day that fans wait for all year long, like you had mentioned, as well as the horsemen, to get their horses to peak on the first Saturday in August.
And I think the two favorites heading into today, Carl, who made over $1 million at the age of 2, against TCI, who was the richest 2-year-old trotter ever in the sport. He made over $1.2 million. They were both the elimination winners last week. Both connections think these horses are peaking. It's going to be a heavyweight bout when they drop the gloves here today's Hambletonian.
Nancy is just as confident in her colt, Carl, as Ronnie is in his colt, TCI. It's the Kentucky Derby of harness racing here, Gabe, and there's 8 other solid horses going into the race as well. It's definitely going to be one for the books.
Deep group top to bottom, but it's going to be a classic once more. Again, Jess, they're going to have all the headlines. We'll see if they end up with it when the show's over.
It's definitely going to be one you don't want to miss here at the Meadowlands, the 99th edition of the Hambletonian. Back to you guys.
Look forward to it, Jess and Gabe. The Hambletonian right here from Meadowlands. All that, and we've yet to mention the best part. For our viewers, $50 free play. That's right. Sign up now, NYRABets.com, and we're giving you $50 to play with. Win, you keep it. Lose, it's on us. Sign up now, NYRABets.com. First race of the afternoon. The kids, the future, the 2-year-olds. Such a special part of Saratoga every summer. Big field, scratch number 7, and wide open. As we get set, 17 minutes out, 2-year-olds in the 6th on Whitney Day from Saratoga. Early August tradition. On this day, we celebrate her legacy. Mary Lou Whitney, philanthropist whose influence can be seen and felt all over town. Mary Lou, a driving force behind what Saratoga is today. You're watching Fox Saratoga Saturday. Next Saturday, we're right back at it. Fox Saratoga Saturday and the 4-star Dave Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Challenge event. Winning, you're in for the Breeders' Cup Mile. Fox Saratoga Saturday, the best horses, biggest races every summer at Saratoga. Coverage begins 3 Eastern, and we expect the Troy and Saratoga Derby. Here we have 3-year-olds, maidens, a lot of first-time starters, fresh faces. There's the updated odds. We check in with Maggie Wolfendale. Maggie, how are the kids behaving this afternoon?
Yeah, there's some juveniles here. They really some of them living up to that term. But we'll start with the horse who is your favorite in his debut, and that's number 9, Antietam, in here. Now, he's been working, or at least his last work was with Classicist, who we just saw finish 3rd in the last race. Now, I do think that he's one that will probably need a start just to develop a touch more. I like him. He's been professional, but you go by the results of the previous race, maybe he's just going to need a start. Moving on to number 1, 1.3 million as a 2-year-old in the OBS March after working 9 and 4. He was asked quite a bit for that workout, but really nice reach and extension to his stride, and is evidenced with his physical makeup here. He is a tall glass of water, long legs, long scopy frame, but also seems sharp. So there might be that ability to carry speed for a long distance. He is uber fit as well here for Gustavo Delgado. Moving on to number 4, Praetor, a horse I was really interested in going back and watching his workouts, given his pedigree. I loved his Dan Curlin's approval, but he's the juvenile. He's just acting like that silly boy that lacks a bit of focus. He's screaming at the ponies down here. He's a big, good-looking sort, but I don't know if mind is on business, at least as of yet. Lafitte?
These 2-year-olds, Maggie, JK, this is why we get excited about these races. Last year, we watched a race just like this, bunch of first-time starters, light in experience, and we watched Dornick and Seize the Gray run 1-2 eventual classic winners.
Oh, that's why I love Saratoga, is because of the superstars you get to see on the racetrack like National Treasure, and the potential superstars you get to see in races like this. Like you mentioned, Dornick and Seize the Gray. We'll see Ways and Means in a little while, that she was one of those special 2-year-olds. It's my favorite part of Saratoga, is getting excited about what's to come.
Maybe a future Whitney winner in this upcoming 6th race at Saratoga. Flavien Prat, big day in front of him. He'll pilot Ways and Means, the favorite in the Grade 1 test, and National Treasure in the Whitney. Another look at the Whitney field. 11-strong Breeders' Cup Challenge event. Winning you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Let's meet the runners in post-position order, starting with number 1 in post time, 2nd to National Treasure in the Met Mile.
The distance is the question for this incredibly consistent runner, but the pace should be fast enough that if he can handle the 1 1/8 distance, he could be a long shot player.
Husband and wife, Sheldon Brittany Russell, trying to win a Whitney together. Number 2, Disarm by Gun Runner, inducted into the Hall of Fame yesterday.
Last August, I would have taken that 15-1 and mortgaged my house. He just hasn't been the same horse when he came back as a 4-year-old.
Yeah, 4th in the Kentucky Derby. It's been spinning his wheels. There's National Treasure not spinning his wheels. This year, twice, 2-time Grade 1 winner.
Not only the horse to beat, but he drew extremely favorably towards the inside. He has more speed than anybody in this race, and with his favorable post position, they are all going to have to run hard to keep up with him early.
Tailor-made to his strengths. Then number 4, Warrior Johnny. Sharp win here opening day.
This is my long shot choice. I thought he ran extremely well on opening day, and he's a horse that I think is trending in the right direction. Needs a little help in front of him, but he's a big price.
I like horses that crush jolly balls on game day. There's First Mission, Godolphin's Alley Sheep, a winner.
Well, his best race in the Alley Sheba was on a wet track, so the rain certainly helps him. He did not run well on the pace in the Stephen Foster last time. Expect his connections to take him off the pace a little bit today.
Track listed as muddy. Il Miracolo is out. There's Croupy, first of 3 for Hall of Famer Todd Pletcher.
He's the lesser of the 2 closers for Todd Pletcher and owner Mike Rapoli in this race, but he's an improved horse this year, and if the race falls apart, he could be a factor.
Number 8, Tumbarumba, Louisiana bred.
Look, this horse probably wants to run a little bit shorter. He's got a lot of talent, but I don't trust him trying to overcome that situation against these types of horses.
Number 9, Bright Future, last summer's Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup winner here.
He doesn't have to improve much off his form last year, and he had a very reasonable return to the races as a 4-year-old. If this horse, a 5-year-old, if he can step forward in here, he is the best and most likely closer in this race.
Number 10, great name, Skippy Longstocking, Oaklawn Handicap winner.
This is the NFL, and it feels like Skippy Longstocking's more of an XFL type of guy.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That much of a difference. If anybody from Team Skippy Longstocking is listening, we're going to have a visitor soon. Arthur's right. He kind of stands out. The acid test for him today.
Yeah, he had a huge effort last time, but he was aided by a racetrack that was favorable to his running style, and he drew poorly outside, but he is a horse that's capable of running a very fast race.
Post is an issue. And then Charge It for Todd Pletcher. Lots expected from him in this race last year.
Well, that's the funny thing. I talked about Disarmed, how much I liked him last August. I loved Charge It in July of 2022. He's just never turned into what we thought he might have been.
Don't say he's XFL material compared to NFL material. Tom, for Todd Pletcher, he has 4 wins in the Whitney, 1 more, and he ties the all-time record. He has those 3 runners. And Bright Future, who I understand those $50, right, that our viewers have just signed up and have to play with in the Whitney this afternoon.
Yeah, look,
how would you
let's take that
use it?
50, right? I mean, you've got nothing to lose. Bright Future, the 9-horse in this race, trained by Todd Pletcher, knows how to win this race. Bright Future, undefeated over this surface, 2 for 2. Undefeated this year. He won his comeback race. Undefeated at this distance. A lot of things to like. We need a bit of a pace meltdown. We know National Treasure, the 3-horse, is going to be the horse to go to the front. I look for some horse to chase him and hopefully get our setup for Bright Future, the 9-horse. $25 to win in place. If he runs first, we cash both tickets. If he runs second, we cash the place ticket. Can't lose.
you literally can't.
Wow, that was impressive the way you did that.
Can't lose. $50 free play for new NYRA Bets members. Get involved. Sign up. $50. Win it, you keep it. Lose, it's on us for the remainder of today's program right on through the Whitney. We start with 2-year-olds in a post parade. 3/4 of a mile dash. There is Ferocious Javier Castellano, one of several new faces, not Castellano, the colt.
You want to look at what $1.3 million brings at the sale? It's this one horse right here. That's what he cost, sold as a 2-year-old just a few months ago.
Contrabandist live on the board with Hall of Famer John Velasquez.
He only cost $300,000, but his daddy got inducted to the Hall of Fame yesterday.
Gun Runner, Horse of the Year, Breeders' Cup Classic winner, Locke Curran and Luis Saez.
Well, this is a horse that maybe isn't in the category of those horses and probably is using this race to get to the next race. We call it an educational race.
Preeter, first-time starter by Into Mischief, Flavian Proud aboard.
A $725,000 purchase for trainer Chad Brown, who wins a lot of races here at Saratoga.
El Prestigio, the edge in experience.
Yeah, we got a field of 10 in this race. 9 have never run before. They're debuting. El Prestigio has race experience. That is a big plus.
I named another horse after you, JK. Ripped, BC Stable, first-time starter.
This City of Light has the services of the recently Hall of Fame inducted Joel Rosario on his back.
7 is out. 8, Discreet Dancer, Eduardo Soto's debuting colt.
Yeah, this horse is 22-1 on the board and could probably be 32-1.
This colt would not be that price. The tepid favorite, 7-2, Antietam, Ortiz, Pletcher, 19 combined Saratoga titles among them.
Well, you got a good work pattern underneath, never run before, but when you look at those practice workouts, they look very good.
Antietam, the favorite, math tutor, first-time starter by Algorithms.
Yeah, well named, and love to see Katie Davis smiling away. I don't think a math tutor could have helped me much, Lafitte.
I'm with you. I'm with you. That's the field. These freshmen, these 2-year-olds, post time in 5 minutes. Is there a star among them? We'll find out. And Andy, for you, contrabandist number 2. Pictured, what are you expecting from him today?
A lot of people will remember those silks with Mo Donegal, but also remember them a few years ago with Keen Ice, who upset American Pharoah in the Travers. It's interesting. Todd Pletcher's won 14 trainer titles this meet, and he'd be the first to say if it wasn't for the 2-year-olds, probably would have won none. He just won with his first 2-year-old first-time starter of the meet.
Wow.
In the last race. Now he's got 2 in here, and they're 3-1 and 7-2, first and second choice respectively. He may have runners in these races as well, and I took the 2 for Donegal Racing to be that runner. He's got some nice pedigree, and I'm going to take my chances.
Over to Acacia.
I have a special guest with me here at Lafitte, Alexander Rossi. As Alex, you have won one of the biggest titles in your sport, the Indianapolis 500. You're now here in one of the best places in our sport, the Winner's Circle at Saratoga. What's the experience like being here?
It's been unbelievable. You know, I'm very new to the horse racing world, but this is the 3rd event that I've come to, and you know, to be here with West Point Thoroughbreds and America's Best Racing, and to be at Saratoga, to understand the kind of history that exists here has been very, very cool. Learning something new every single day, and it's just a pleasure to be here and really, really loving the experience so far.
You mentioned the groups that you're here with, but you actually have a little bit of a background with horses, I understand.
I do a little bit. So my mom, so I grew up in Northern California. My mom used to barrel race horses, but to now kind of bring that a little bit back full circle in a different environment, obviously, and to meet the horse that I've kind of been partnered with this morning was very special, and something that her and I kind of share a bonding moment over. And we'll be out at the Breeders' Cup in November, and really looking forward to that.
Well, fantastic, a great event to experience, and obviously in your sport, you like to go fast. We like to go fast here as well. Any parallels that you've experienced so far?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, racing's racing. It's obviously on an oval, so a lot of similarities there. You know, the inside line is less distance, but you know, you can, if you're free and you can go to the outside and cover more distance, sometimes that's better too. So it is interesting, the parallels. Obviously, you're dealing with variables in a race car with a machine that obviously has, in a way, a mind of its own. Obviously, a horse is the same, but it's so cool to watch, and just really amazing to see that horses as athletes, and really have a lot of appreciation for that.
Very well said. It's great to have you here. I understand you'll be doing Riders Up, so enjoy that and enjoy your day in Saratoga.
I appreciate it very much. Thanks, guys.
Lafitte?
Does he know it's Riders Up and not Gentlemen, Start Your Engines? Have we passed along that note?
I haven't.
Is that
so
on your to-do list?
JK? There's a couple of horses that run today. It might be Gentlemen, Start Your Engines. And National Anthem is one of them in our Whitney.
Alexander Rossi, great to have him on hand. Indy 500 winning driver. We've referenced the Hall of Fame across the street here at Saratoga. Joel Rosario, you're looking at one of the newest members inducted yesterday. For more, we check in with Richie.
Yeah, Lafitte, Joel Rosario, such a special talent. And, you know, here was a guy that I got to ride with when his star was on the rise and I was in the twilight of my career. And he really pointed himself out that he was a special talent when he was one of only 4 riders to win 6 races on a single card at Hollywood Park, joining the likes of Bill Shoemaker and a guy you might be familiar with, Lafitte Pincay. He just is as cool as a rider can be. He always has horses delivered at the right moment. His timing is impeccable, and he's a rider that uses the crop so sparingly. He's a guy with a strong hand ride. To me, he's such a blend of 2 of the greatest riders I ever had the honor to compete with, and that's George Velasquez for his timing and his finesse, and Lafitte Pincay for his overall strength. He is poetry in motion to watch in a finish.
Kind words, Richie. Thank you so much. Joel Rosario, yeah, he's been steady, competing, delivering at the highest level for years. We knew he would wind up there at some point in the Hall of Fame. We had him on set yesterday, a man of few words, but a fierce competitor, brute strength out on the racetrack.
And unflappable. I mean, you never see Joel panic in a race. He gets in a tight spot, and he just waits.
When Joel is Joeling, no one is better, in my opinion. When he's out there and he's in a zone, he kind of catches that flow state, there's nobody better in the game.
And look, a nose for the finish line. I mean, if he has a horse that's coming on the end, he's going to get there first. I don't care who's in front of him.
Maggie's going to Maggie horseback and tell us more about these 2-year-olds.
Thank you, Lafitte. I did the quick change here with my boy Irish. I really like this pony. It's my first time riding him. He's amazing. But talking about horses out here on the racetrack, we actually saw some pretty big warm-ups from a lot of these, but not so with the horse who has experience. And number 5, El Prestigio. He is one that kept with the pony with Kendrick Carmouche, ironically, as he's typically a rider that gives the big warm-ups. But a horse that I think will break a lot better this time around. Big, burly animal by Practical Joke. I think this distance suits him perfectly. This 6 furlongs today. But I am going to land on number 1, Ferocious. Not an ideal draw, but we saw Javier Castellano really warm this horse up aggressively. He had him in the chute, doing figure 8s, doing circles, got him really nicely on the bridle. Not a horse that wanted to go with the pony, but wasn't acting up. He's been focused. So I like what I'm seeing from Ferocious. I'll take him moving well on this surface, Lafitte.
And JK, for our viewers that only watch those 3 races a year, familiarity with Ferocious, or at least Team Ferocious.
Yeah, Gustavo Delgado won the Kentucky Derby last year with Mage. I think he was about $250,000. That led to him now having a $1.3 million horse in his barn. Let's see what he can do with that animal.
$1.3 million. Ferocious, the tepid favorite, 7-2, spendthrift 2-year-old race of the day on this Whitney Saturday. We hand things over to the voice of Saratoga, Frank Miramati. It is post time, live on Fox, Saratoga Saturday.
Thank you, Lafitte. Always so exciting when we get these maiden 2-year-olds at Saratoga Racecourse. Here's Preeter taking up his spot. The last one to load is Math Tutor. Going in. They're in the gate. And they're off, and Ferocious was a bit tardy out of there. He's starting to rush up now, but it's El Prestigio who's the fastest. On the inside, Ferocious darts right into second. Lock Curran is close up in the early stages, and Ripped is fourth and only 3 lengths off the lead. It's another 2 back to Contrabandist. 2.5 clear of Antietam, who races in between horses. Down at the rail, Discreet Dancer is some 10 lengths off the lead, just steadied pretty hard behind Antietam. And in front of that pair now is Math Tutor. Trying to pick it up from behind is Preeter. 22 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile. El Prestigio has been there every step of the way, trying to sneak clear in doing so. El Prestigio has a 4-length lead suddenly as they reach the top of the stretch. Ferocious hugging the rail and trying to chase him down. Angles out now with good strides in second. And these two will come to the 8th pole together, and Ferocious is gathering serious momentum as Preeter has surfaced from well out of it. Ferocious takes off through the stretch. What an effort. It was expected, and he sure delivered. Ferocious jogs. Tight photo between Preeter and El Prestigio. Behind them, Antietam was battling it out with Contrabandist. But the story here is the first-time starter, Ferocious.
Didn't break, didn't matter. Ferocious, wow. What looks like 1.3 million well spent. Sparkling debut that got off to a poor start.
You talked about earlier, Dornick sees the gray, went on to win big races like the Belmont, the Haskell, the Preakness. What he just did was very impressive. He's got a big race in his future.
Yeah, look, he did not break well from the rail. Had to rush up to get a spot. Oftentimes that puts the mentality of a young horse that's never run before in a bad spot. But this horse has $1.3 million worth of brains. And he knows how to handle his business.
And we ran another 6-furlong 2-year-old race in the prior race, won by a first-time starter that I believe went about a second faster than this race. So this horse ran 5 or 6 lengths faster than a couple of nice horses in the last race. This is a very good horse.
Right here, engaging the leader, Tom, and Ferocious finds another gear. Richie's with us. Javier Castellano, the Hall of Famer, the 7-time Travers winner, goes to work. Richie asked Ferocious the question. He had the right answer.
What extension on this horse's stride. The mechanics of his stride are as impeccable as you're ever going to see on any horse. Look at the reach. He is just covering so much ground. He gets that little extra extension. You can see him on his right lead and how far that right front foreleg reaches out over the ground. We could talk about him breaking slow. We could talk about him hustling up into the pocket, taking the kickback. But I am overwhelmed with the extension of this horse's stride. This is a serious horse, and he doesn't look anything like a sprinter. He just looks like he's talented, and he'll go as far as they write these races. This was the 2-year-old performance of the meet so far for me.
One of those moments, a 2-year-old lighting up Saratoga. Javier Castellano, who rode Mage to victory in the Kentucky Derby, is with Maggie.
Yeah, with a horse of a different color, that's for sure. Mage a chestnut, this guy dark bay, but Javi, the talent is there.
Yeah, really nice horse. Very like it. I like it the way he did in the morning. Get on one time. Very impressed the way he did. Galloping. He did it really beautiful, and they had really high expectation with the horse today and didn't disappoint me at all. I really like it. Fall in love with the horse. Well-bred horse. Great trainer like Gustavo Delgado. They did a great job. Team effort.
And so professional. He didn't break that well because inside post is always hard, but you used him a bit, and he had so much left in the tank. Is he just getting started at 6 furlongs?
Absolutely, Maggie. I think that's a good start for 6 furlong. I think it seemed to me he's going to stretch him out longer. That's exactly what you said in the beginning. He didn't miss a break a little bit. He had to wait for 19 horses to load it. He loaded first. He ran out of patience. He want to go out of there, and he missed a break, but he got a good position himself. He got there in the fair a little bit. He schooled him out very well. He stepped up outside, and he carried himself. I think he did the more distance he's going to get better.
Javi, we'll see more distance later on in the Grade 1 Whitney. You're aboard Bright Future, a horse that has proven that he likes it here at Saratoga. Also, talk about his comeback race, going the mile and the Salvatore mile. Lost interest, got intimidated on the far turn, right?
That's correct, Maggie. He was inside in the real, very tight trip. He didn't appreciate that being that spot. When he see the clear, he took off. I think today is kind of different ball game, more speed in the race. I mean, it's a little more longer distance. He's going to get better. He's going to appreciate that. And you see how he followed the race. I have a lot of expectation with Bright Future. And I hope we put a good show today.
We'll see if the future is bright, but it definitely is for Ferocious, Acacia. Awesome.
He is, as I'm here with co-owner Ramiro Restrepo. As Ramiro, I know this was a horse, obviously, with the price tag and the workout at the 2-year-old sales that turned a lot of heads, but it seems he's only getting better.
Listen, from the sale through this process, he's just been at the head of the class. We have 22-year-olds, and he just kept shining every day. Just a great mind. And look, he's 4 generations of Jodmont, and that class is second to none, and it's coming out at least today. So very happy and onwards and upwards.
A full second faster than the other division of 2-year-olds as well. I mean, how encouraging is that start to win here at Saratoga?
Well, this is a great special place. Gustavo won the test here a few years ago, and you know, my brothers were in my mom's belly here in the winner's circle. So this is a special place for all of us. The horse is just, from the day we saw him till now, has been very special to us, and hopefully the ride continues.
You've been in some big winner's circles throughout your life too, though. The Kentucky Derby last year with Mage. I'd imagine there's some big dreams with this one for 2025.
Look, Mage has been a blessing for all of us. It's allowing myself to buy horses of a little higher caliber that I could only dream of. And for Gustavo to have a barn full of quality horses is what he dreamed of when he moved here from Venezuela. So, you know, Mage is the gift that keeps on giving. And now hopefully Ferocious takes the torch and keeps carrying that along for us.
A gift indeed, and the future's bright with this one. Congratulations.
Thank you. And just wanted to say hi to Steve, Glenn, Luis Casamayor, and Manny Cambo, the other partners of ours back home in Miami. And enjoy the win, boys.
I'm sure they're having a party in Miami, Lafitte.
How exciting for them to see Ferocious do that. But I would also imagine after a $1.3 million investment, like a big sigh of relief as well. Oh, yeah, good. He can run. He does have the ability we thought he would.
They could sell him for a profit right now.
They could. I mean, this is, you don't want to get ahead of yourself, but this horse ran great today. He ran to his purchase price, and he's a horse that looks like he can go on as well.
What could this be the start of? Remember his name, Ferocious. Sensational debut here at Saratoga's. We're just getting started with our coverage on this Whitney Saturday from the Spa.
Still to come. After one race last summer, she was billed as the Sports Next superstar. Hasn't happened yet for Ways and Means. Maybe that changes today in the test. Plus a deeper Whitney dive. You know all about the favorites, but about a long shot. Post time. A story of husband and wife, Sheldon and Brittany Russell, trying to win the Whitney together. Those stories and much more on Fox Saratoga Saturday.
This old racing venue is still buzzing after that performance by Ferocious. Welcome back. Fox Saratoga Saturday, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. The hats, the headgear, all part of a big day at Saratoga. And on this Saturday, a couple of Grade 1 events. The next, the test, presented by Ticketmaster, featuring that filly, Ways and Means. Her march continues on her way to the paddock, always highly regarded. She'd built a reputation before she'd ever raced, and then she raced, JK, the day after last year's Whitney, and she put on an absolute clinic, which we will revisit. Speaking of sparkling debuts, another look at what Ferocious just did. I keep having I want to keep calling him Fierceness. Last year's champion whose career started here. Fierceness, Ferocious, brilliant.
Well, that horse he left in his wake was El Prestigio, who is the only horse with experience, made an easy lead for the winner, Ferocious, who didn't break well. He had to rush to catch up, and he's just getting going when he hits the wire. Talk about a horse for the future.
No, this is an extremely exciting horse. And I was thinking back to big 2-year-old winners here, and we talked before about 2 of the Triple Crown winners last year. I remember a Whitney Saturday a number of years ago where a horse named Birdstone broke his maiden by 10 lengths. And he went on to a lot of
Smarty
infamy
Jones
later in
fans
his
are
career.
throwing Smarty Jones fans throwing beer cans at the TV. Ferocious. Do you think, before we get to the test, hopeful, most prestigious race for 2-year-olds at the end of the meet? Do you think maybe?
I'm sure they'd like to get to it. I think on there probably look at a race like that.
Yeah.
And then maybe a race like the Champagne or the Breeders' Futurity as they head to the Breeders' Cup in Perfect World.
All right, we turn the page here. The test, most prestigious race for 3-year-old fillies, sprinters in the country. Another look at Ways and Means, who is the 6-5 favorite. As mentioned, she had built that reputation before she ever raced. She created a lot of buzz, JK, and then lived up to the billing in her first crack.
This was in August. In July, I was hanging out at Chad Brown's barn, and her exercise rider, Peter Leva, we said, hey, she's running in a race. There might be some good horses in there. He goes, they better take a picture of her in the gate because they won't see her after that. And that's what she did about a month later.
And then, yeah, the Ways and Means, Andy, sky-high expectations. And then what happened after that?
Well, I mean, she didn't break particularly well in her next start in the Spinaway and had some trouble and came out of that race with a bit of an issue, and she lost. She wasn't able to win the Kentucky Oaks. She had a very rough trip in a return race going 2 turns. But then I remember the day of the Kentucky Oaks talking about it with her owner, Seth Harmon, saying, we're going to get a race into her, and then we're going to point to the test, which was 3 months to the day after the Kentucky Oaks. You can plan those things. They often don't come to fruition, as Tom knows better than anybody. Well, they got the race into her. She ran a huge speed figure that's been backed up by other horses. And now she's running the test, and all she's got to do is win to complete the trifecta.
Reset, refocused, Ways and Means. What will she do in the test? So much history and tradition. And the stats, let's go by the numbers. First run in 1922, a century of excellence. So who was fastest? Gamine, whistling 7/8 of a mile in 1:20.83. Most wins by an owner. The number is 3, Wheatley Stable and Ogden Phipps. Most victories by a trainer, Sonny Jim Fitzsimmons, 5-time test winning trainer. The jockey with most victories. No surprise, the great Jerry Bailey, 6-time test winning rider. This is elite. Test winners named champion. Female sprinter, only 3. Gamine, most recent, 2020. A different kind of title. 3-year-old filly champ, 8 total. She was absolutely brilliant. Go for one. And test winners in the Hall of Fame, the number is 7, included the Iron Lady, Lady Secret, the test by the numbers. The history, the tradition of the Grade 1 test. Andy, I know it's always been one of your favorite races. It takes place on this Whitney Saturday, a real challenge in terms of endurance, speed, and class for these 3-year-old fillies.
No, it's really one of the most important races for 3-year-old fillies, and it's changed a lot over the years. Believe it or not, it used to be a prep for the Alabama. It was run 9 days before the Alabama. I remember Gopher Wand walking by me on her way to winning this race and the Alabama. Several others did it as well, but it's evolved in time as the game has evolved. And now this is the most important race for the 3-year-old fillies sprinters. as we saw with a very good horse that Tom Amoss had. You tried to pull off an incredible double, Kentucky Oaks and the Test. This is a huge, huge race. We talk about the Whitney being a stallion-making race. Well, this is something that makes a horse very valuable as a broodmare.
Trained by Chad Brown, Ways and Means. My Main Squeeze, who is trained by Mike Maker. You spent some time with Mike Maker earlier this week, right? JK, a segment, Cart Talk with a guest in the golf cart. Mike Maker, whom he's a terrific trainer. His resume speaks for himself. The thing is, Maker doesn't do a lot of speaking about himself. So interested to see how this all turned out. The Q&A with JK and Mike Maker, this week's guest on Cart Talk.
Mike, do you like it up here in Saratoga?
Yes.
All right. You like racing horses on the turf?
Yes.
Is your favorite part of winning the post-race interview?
No.
Do you know any good jokes?
No.
Text or call? Which one do you prefer?
Text.
Figured that. A lot of people thought this would never happen, Mike.
They were right.
Seriousness now, Mike, I appreciate you doing this. I read you bought your first horse when you were 13 years old.
Well, I had a stockpile of cash. My dad was going to the timonium sale out of paper route. I worked summers, the weekends at the racetrack, and he went and bought a horse for $2,500 to let me take care of. I bought 25% of it, and he won his first race. I thought it was easy money.
Tell me a little bit about your dad. Your dad was a trainer as well. What kind of trainer was he?
He's a trainer. Most of his life he spent in Detroit, would go to Florida for the winters. You know, we dealt with a lot of claiming horses, so, you know, even though we were a cheaper track, he had a similar feed program to Wayne Lucas, who I worked for after I left Detroit.
Tell me some of the main things you picked up working for someone like D. Wayne.
Well, it's obvious my dress and my penmanship. No, but in all seriousness, you know, his organizational skills and being able to manage multiple stables, I think was second to none. I think that's the biggest part. It's helped me today.
You spent a lot of time when you were with D. Wayne around Charismatic. What does spending time around such a good horse kind of teach you?
Teach me that I took it for granted. It was a little harder than Wayne made it look. Every year, you know, we had a bunch of babies come in, and you know, we seemed to get to the Derby and the top 3-year-old races, and you know, it's just something you really appreciate looking back after all these years.
Up here at Saratoga, I always fall in love with horses that can give the fans a little bit of something. Casa Creed is one that comes to mind. But Cross Border, he won here 3 years in a row.
The New York bred Cross Border to win Saratoga's Bowling Green Stakes.
Why did Cross Border like Saratoga so much?
And the Cross Border was a funny horse to train. He had a mind of his own, but when he came up here, that all went behind him. He still stall walk once in a while, but not like he did at other places. But he was definitely a horse for course.
Well, you know, I always do a little research before I do these things, and I came across your Wikipedia page, and it says that you've been blessed to have 3 children, but I was a little bit surprised that Caden was listed as your favorite child. I thought that was a pretty bold thing to put in your Wikipedia.
I mean, I was also surprised that I had 3 children because I only actually have 2. But you know, he's very good with electronics and cracking jokes.
Mike, I got to tell you, you know, a lot of people, when I told them I was doing this, they were worried that it was going to be tough. But I've had significantly harder cart talks than this one. It's pretty easy.
That's good. Maybe I'm improving.
The people were right. They made you work. He made you work.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Look, I've been saying forever I want to have Mike Maker, and every time I told someone I'm going to have Mike Maker for Cart Talk, they go, oh, are you sure? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. He was great. He was hilarious. He had a lot of good jokes. He was very fun.
His sense of humor, he's like, wait, did he just say that? That kind of Norm Macdonald delivery.
Absolutely.
Deadpan, dry,
I'll tell you one thing.
And a hell of a trainer.
He doesn't have to be funny because he's an outstanding trainer.
Yeah. Nothing funny about the way he handles his thoroughbreds. Mike Maker. Cart Talk brought to you by Gainesway Power, Passion, Performance. Just another day at the office for Mike Maker and for trainer Brad Cox. There he is. He's been here before. Won with Kafefi. 2019 eventual champion. Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint winner. Running a pair this afternoon in the test. Emery and Diamonds and Pearls. And later, Brad Cox will unleash First Mission in the main event. The Grade 1 Whitney. Statement race for him. What went wrong in the Stephen Foster? Is he one of the best older horses in the country? We'll find out today in the 97th Grade 1 Whitney. Fox Saratoga Saturday, gearing up for the Grade 1 test presented by Ticketmaster. But first, another look at the field for the Grade 1 Whitney. Breeders' Cup Challenge event, win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic number 5. First Mission 9-2, second choice. Tom, what makes him a difficult read? Andy, what makes him a difficult read going in?
A major contender, but he's also capable of sort of not getting it done on the biggest days. For instance, they want to win a Grade 1. Winning a Grade 1 race is so important for making a stallion. Now, Godolphin can stand him at stud, but they want to make him a Grade 1 winner to stand at stud. And they thought the Stephen Foster was going to be that coming out party, and he ran inexplicably badly in there. And the only thing I can point to is maybe he's better if he sits a little bit off the pace. But horses like National Treasure have already delivered on a big stage. Bright Future delivered on a big stage. He's got to show that he can get it done on the biggest stage. Yellow tie there. You see him, Brad Cox, just 44 years old. Tom, can you put into context what he's accomplished over the last few years?
So for Brad was a guy that trained primarily for one owner, and when he lost that owner, he had little or no horses left in his barn. He built that stable up so rapidly and won so many big races, including, as Andy said, many Grade 1s. And Grade 1s are races that are bringing together the best horses in the country, if not the world, together. We only ride a few of them. The Whitney, of course, later today is one of those Grade 1 type races that Brad's going to try and do it with.
campaigned Nick's Go. He won here and then eventually captured the Breeders' Cup Classic. Emery, one of two for Brad Cox, JK, in this test. There she is, Emery, the victory ride, 4th of July at Aqueduct. She's 3-5 and really has to dig and work to get there.
She did, but she ran really fast early. Showed a lot of early speed in that spot, and she's drawn on the rail here today. So I'd like to think that Tyler Gaffalione is going to send her away from there. It would seem like a silly idea to say, oh, I have a fast horse. Let's take her back. Let's eat dirt for half a mile, and then let's try to pass Ways and Means. I think the idea would be to go away from their running and make Ways and Means chase her.
Emery, Tyler Gaffalione, as you mentioned, took down a Grade 1 sprint last Saturday aboard Nakatomi in the Vanderbilt. The fillies in the test, most prestigious race for 3-year-old filly sprinters in the sport. That's next, 15 minutes out. The test from Saratoga on Fox, Saratoga Saturday. Whitney Saturday at the Spa. Gorgeous shot among the oldest active sporting venues in North America. Saratoga Race Course. As always, our coverage brought to you in part by NYRA Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Visit NYRABets.com or download the NYRA Bets app to get started. Updated odds, Grade 1 test. 3-year-old fillies, 7/8 of a mile, $500,000 purse. We had a field of 6. Sounds like we have a field of 5. We check in with Maggie.
Yeah, some unfortunate news here with regards to this Grade 1 test. The filly that was on the comeback trail in here, Bright Work number 6, she's going to be a late scratch. Unfortunately, when they were trying to put the tack on her, she went up and fell over. And that here in New York is an automatic scratch. The attending veterinarians came over, examined her, and decided to take her out. It's in the best interest of the horse, Bright Work, the connections, and the bettors, as we will be left with a field of 5 in here. It's going to be pretty tough to get around number 4, Ways and Means, as she comes off of a best career effort thus far in just an allowance race. It was kind of a regrouping process where she was heavily favored against some weaker company, but she delivered when it came to the clock. She's going to turn back here, though, to the 7 furlongs, and while physically she isn't built like your true sprinter, she's actually got a lot of size and scope and ranginess to her, and she always has. Watching her workouts, watching her races, she actually moves more like a sprinter. It's kind of that quick, more daisy cutter action instead of that big extension to one stride. She looks great here. I like what I'm seeing from her, but the horse to her outside I think is very intriguing, and of course she's a New York bred, so a little bit of a hometown rooting interest here with My Main Squeeze. She looks fabulous, and I like the fact that they're going to cut her back to the 7 furlongs. I think arguably this is her best distance, and she is sharp here in the paddock. Last time I saw her for the Acorn, she was quite quiet. So turning back in distance, I like that she's kind of bubbling under the surface, has that energy, and she is really well turned out physically, Lafitte.
Wet track won't bother her. Listed as muddy. Won the 8 bells in a sloppy track on the undercard of the Kentucky Oaks. The New York bred My Main Squeeze. Expanding, Tom, on what Maggie just explained regarding Bright Work and that she flipped in the paddock. Could you expand on that and explain what that's all about?
Yeah, it's not unusual for when a horse is getting saddled to get a little pinchy when that girth goes on underneath the belly and kind of gooses them a little bit or tickles them a little bit, and they might move to one side or another, but to really turn over and fall in the paddock, that's a bit unusual, and it's all about taking care of the animal and saving it for another day. And so Bright Work is going to come back a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, and we'll get to see her run again.
It's a precaution, her
Absolutely.
scratching. But Brad Cox still has 2 fillies ready to roll in this test and standing by live with Acacia.
Brad Cox joining me here. As Brad, you'll be sending out to Emery. We'll start with her from the inside. She's done very little wrong. What are you going to do from the inside post tactically with her today?
That's up to Tyler. Yeah, don't take anything away that comes easy. Just break running, and she's tactical. She can, she's an honest filly. I think as long as she gets a good trip, she'll make a good account of herself.
And as far as Denim and Pearls is concerned, it did seem that she got pretty nervous last time out. Seemed like she minded her manners today.
Yeah, she's very good. We kept the lip chain on her until she got to the out to the track. But you're right. She can kind of get touch worked up. I think she's developing mentally. I'll tell you what. She's obviously been freshened up a little bit since her last run there at Churchill. Her last few work's been really, really good. That's why we're jumping in this grade 1. It's not just because it's a short field. She's doing really well.
2 strong chances here, and then first mission in the Whitney coming up a little bit later on. Speaking of tactics, I know he was on the front end last time. I understand maybe thinking to try and settle a little bit more today?
Yeah, I think with Bob being in the race, we're naturally going to have to settle. He's probably going to break and get the lead, and, we'll hopefully get a good tracking trip. Look, I can't give you much of an excuse for his last race. He's a happy horse. He's doing well. I thought he'd win last time, honestly, and he just didn't show up. Hopefully, he kind of pulled us a little bit at Gulfstream. I was blaming it on the track. I can't give him an excuse for his last run. Hopefully he rebounds today and runs well.
Thanks for the insight, Brad. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Sophie?
Brad Cox, 2 in the test. There's Emery, improving filly. All she does is win, and the Cox stablemates will break side by side, Denim and Pearls.
Well, Denim and Pearls 2 horse. Look, her race 2 back at Keeneland wins this race today. Didn't run well in the slop last time. This is a different racetrack, even though it's not a fast track.
Bell's Bluebell, most experienced, deep closer, and then Ways and Means, odds-on favorite, 4-5.
There she is. I mean, she has the stuff. You watch her walk. She's got the strut. She's got the look, ears forward. She's ready to go.
My main squeeze, New York bred, 8 Bells winner at Churchill Downs on a wet track.
If there's an upset in this race, I believe it's going to be her. She's in that good stalking position outside. As we saw in the 8 Bells, she handles a wet track, and frankly, she didn't run that badly behind that monster Torpedo Anna last time in the Acorn.
Top-ranked 3-year-old filly in the nation, headed to the Travers, Torpedo Anna. These 3-year-old fillies, they sprint fast and chasing the riches. In this test, $500,000 purse. There's Ways and Means, the odds-on favorite, looking for a first-ever stakes victory. This is not the trophy Ways and Means is after. The Hambletonian Trophy, the elusive Hambletonian Trophy. Several drivers and trainers in this year's edition, very accomplished, but without a Hambo victory. The hardware awaits. Live look, Saratoga Racecourse. Welcome back, Fox Saratoga Saturday. Always a special moment as we get closer and closer to a Grade 1 event. Grade 1, highest designation of thoroughbred racing. For every Grade 1 race in Saratoga, a blanket awaits. There it is, to be draped over the winner's withers, the test blanket. Who will it be? Updated odds, field of 5. All eyes on Ways and Means, 4-5. Just because she's the favorite, just because she has superstar abilities when she brings her best. Tom's still pivoting. He's taking a shot with Denim and Pearls. Tell you what, Brad Cox sounded awfully confident about her.
He did. And I think with Denim and Pearls, there's a couple of things going our way. 2 races back with Denim and Pearls at Keeneland was a huge performance, a kind of a budding star performance, in my opinion. Didn't run well in the next on a sloppy track. Although we've had rain all night, this is not a sloppy track. This is a track she'll get a hold of, and I think she puts a hurting on our big favorite.
Wow. A hurting. Denim and Pearls at 4-1. Brad Cox looking for a second win in the test. Richie, 4 Ways and Means pictured in Flavian Pratt. What is the key to success this afternoon?
It's all about the start. She has not broken cleanly in the majority of her starts, going back to her first start in the spin-away. She didn't break particularly well, and that set up for her to clip heels a little bit further on down the backstretch. Last time she broke awkwardly, she was just much the best in that field. Listen, she is talented. I do think she'll win, but the start has been a little bit of her Achilles heel, so I think that's what we need to watch, just how cleanly she gets away from the gate and sets up her trip. She looks great today, by the way, physically. The 5, My Main Squeeze, boy, she could not look any better. She's carrying great weight. This is a homebred for Buck Butler and his wife, Loretta. And it just shows you New York breds are able to compete on the major stages, Grade 1 level. I think she's going to sit a real nice trip from the outside. And guys, the 2 Denims and Pearls, she could not have warmed up any stronger. Boy, she made a nice impression. I wonder if Maggie saw the same thing I did.
Absolutely, Richie. I could not agree more. In fact, if there was any horse that I had to pinpoint as saying they're not particularly loving the going, it would have to be her stablemate in here, Emery. But Denim and Pearls, she got over this surface so well. And as Tom said, and I'll just reiterate, this is not a very sloppy racetrack. And if you go back and watch her 8 bells, her hind end slipped out from underneath of her, and that is a horse that's really not getting a hold of the track. She did so when she was breaking out of the gate, but today, look, there's no lying water on this track. It is sealed tight, and you watch the horse's hooves as they go around here. They're only going a quarter, half a hoof. So it is tight. They're skipping over the top of it. So all good for Denim and Pearls, and she has remained focused, but good energy here, and really, really looks fantastic. But it's all about ways and means. I think she warmed up beautifully with Flavien Prat aboard. She's much the horse to beat, guys.
Seth Klarman's ways and means, powerhouse connections, Chad Brown, Flavien Prat with a minute to post. We send it right back to Acacia.
And this is one of those races, Lafitte, when you toy with the idea of making an argument against the favorite. And one of the beauties of this race is that you genuinely can make a case for every horse in here. But Maggie touched on the warm-up from Ways and Means. She had her ears pricked straight up, and the old racing adage is a filly with big ears has a big heart, and those ears were like satellites perked right up, listening to Flavien Prat, moving beautifully, accepting of what he was asking. She looks like she has a lot of talent, and even though she is a tall, leggy filly, they have found the sweet spot for her. With going a bit shorter, you still have extremely prestigious opportunities like this Grade 1 test, even if she's not going to be a horse that gets those longer so-called classic distances, Lafitte.
Ways and Means, Acacia. In that first race, you're a college football fan. You watch guys on Saturdays that jump off the screen. That guy's going to play on Sunday. They just move differently. They're just that much better. That's what we felt watching Ways and Means in her debut. This was the start of something special. Andy, while she's been good, she hasn't fulfilled that promise as Brad Cox looks on with his 2 fillies, Emery and Denim and Pearls. Is this a put-up-or-shut-up race for Ways and Means?
100%. And while I think she is terrific, as everybody seems to here, I don't believe she should be 3-5 in this race. I think they're underestimating the talents of both Emery and Denims and Pearls, and even My Main Squeeze. And she is a horse that, while she's had excuses, at a certain point, horses run out of excuses. She needs to deliver today.
And don't you think, Jonathan, that her last race, which was against inferior competition, but looks so darn good, is why they're betting on her so strongly? The public is pouring the money in.
Yeah, people might ask who was she facing in there, and I'll say I don't know, but she faced the clock, and she beat the clock, and she ran extremely fast. I think she's going to win this race here in the next 45, 50 seconds, and I think she's going to go on to be the favorite for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint.
I think the word jinx is starting to come into
What about pace, guys? There's not a. Where is the pace coming from this race? The early pace.
She is the speed. With a break, with a clean break, she's going to be in front or stalking the pace. She's the best horse, and she has the speed.
Her trainer looks on. Chad Brown, Ways and Means. Not a Breeders' Cup Challenge event. Could have Breeders' Cup implications. Kofefi won this race. She captured the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint. We'll see what happens in this year's edition. Post time, they're off.
Oh, she broke good.
The test presented by Ticketmaster. And Ways and Means breaks beautifully in. We'll go right to the front. Emery comes through on the inside of My Main Squeeze. They're racing together second, but now Emery goes right through and challenges Ways and Means. These two go at it from the start. So it's Emery the leader, Ways and Means comfortable, just a half length back in second. My Main Squeeze 3 off the pace in third, followed by Denim and Pearls in fourth, and Bell's Blue Bell is at the back of the field. The opening quarter mile sees Emery leading 3/4 of a length to Ways and Means. They move into the far turn together. Another 2 lengths back, My Main Squeeze hard ridden in third. Denim and Pearls is fourth with 4 lengths to make up. It's another 4. Back to Bell's Blue Bell. Ways and Means and Emery stride for stride. Ways and Means puts her neck in front past the quarter pole. My Main Squeeze trying to come after them in third. They have 3/16 of a mile to go. Ways and Means puts away Emery and opens up 2. My Main Squeeze running a good race on the outside, and Denim and Pearls in fourth. Coming to the 16th pole, and Ways and Means is now a Grade 1 winner. handwritten by Flavien Prat to win the test presented by Ticketmaster. Emery was second. It was a photo for third between My Main Squeeze and Denim and Pearls. 122-1 for Ways and Means.
That's the performance we've been waiting to see. That's the filly who debuted the day after last year's Whitney. Ways and Means rolls in the Grade 1 test presented by Ticketmaster.
Right out of the gate, Ways and Means broke super sharp, you guys. And when Emery, the one horse, decided to chase her on her inside, Flavien Prat did not care that Emery went to lead. 9 times out of 10 in that situation, if you're on the lead and a horse tries to come inside of you, you're going with him. Prat was so confident on his horse, Ways and Means, he just let that horse go on.
And the final time of 122.28 is a very solid time. And even though she only won by a few lengths, Jonathan, I think somebody underestimate the horses behind her.
No, look, I think it was a talented group. I know that she didn't open up and win by 27 lengths or whatever, but she was in command the entire time. It was never really in doubt. It just feels like one of those football games, you know, Tom, you've seen it before, where LSU is up 14-21 late, and then someone scores a touchdown late. It looks a little closer than it was. I think she could have won by more if she was challenged.
Well, post Les Miles, you know, we were up by 14-21. But before that, we just handed the ball off and we're up by 3 to 7 points. And you had to, you know, have at least 3 or 4 drinks to stay in the game.
Be careful with Tom today.
To Maggie with winning pilot Flavien Prat.
That's right, Lafitte. As Ways and Means, she's still tugging on you and our outrider Jessie here. She won so easily, despite it not being a huge win when it comes to open lengths.
No, I mean, she did everything right today. She, you know, great job from Chad and all his team. She's not been the easiest one to train, and they just done a tremendous job with her, and she's just getting good.
She really is. Flavien, talk about how well she broke, and then you got a challenger up on your inside. How'd she respond to that?
Yeah, she broke very well, which sometimes can be not our best thing, you know. Sometimes she breaks a step slow, but she broke very well today. I was very pleased to stay alongside of Emery. You know, I thought having a target would be good for her. And yeah, from there, I mean, she did the rest.
Flavien, this could be the first of 2 Grade 1s for you, as you'll be on the favorite in today's Whitney National Treasure. It feels like there's some other pace in there today. How are you going to play things?
Yeah, well, I'm inside. I mean, hopefully I get a good break and get running, going to the first turn, then we'll adjust. But, you know, obviously he's a horse that ran 40 place, so not going to change his game.
Sounds good. Well, enjoy this win here, Ways and Means. Brilliant today.
Thank you very much.
Ways and Means now Grade 1 winner. Guys?
And for Flavien Prat, yeah, a date with National Treasure in the Whitney. Ways and Means, owned by Seth Klarman with Acacia.
She picks up a classic race like the Grade 1 test. Seth, obviously you've had a lot of nice horses, but winning a race like this on Whitney Day with such a talented filly, where do you rank it?
It's way up there. I mean, she's homebred, and it's her first stakes win. Despite everything she's done, she wasn't a stakes winner till today. So to win that, not just with the Grade 1, but with the test, is unbelievable.
You mentioned,
excited. Yeah.
You mentioned that she's a homebred, have to highly motivated, who was very good for you as well. How much more special does that make it that you've had your hands involved since the very beginning?
Yeah, the mare is very special. So she's had 3 stakes runners for us, and they've all been impressive. So she keeps getting nice horses.
Opting to go the shorter distances this year with Ways and Means, it seems it's paid off, and she has really found her spot.
We cut her back a little from the Oaks. We're not sure if she maybe just didn't like the going in the Oaks. We may try longer again, but for now, she's found her spot. So you're right.
And for now, enjoy it. Congratulations, Seth.
Thank you so much, Acacia. Thank you.
Lafitte?
A homebred. He bred her, Seth Klarman. Cheers to the breeder. 3 Chimneys cheer to the breeder. Seth Klarman, having bred a second test winner, Separation of Powers, and now Ways and Means. Flavien Prat. Richie Migliori is with us. Richie, top of the show. We touched on the big meet Prat was having, right? Yeah, he's just now padding his stats as we move forward.
Yeah, and his 8th stakes win of the meet. You know, he's a rider that transcends 2 jockeys colonies, right? He's still as wanted in California, and now he's even maybe more wanted in New York. The keys to the race were that she just broke so cleanly. Now, I want you to pay particular attention, guys, to her demeanor. Look at her ears. Look how flat against the head are. Look at her eye. Look at the way her lips are almost bared a little bit. I don't believe she could have gone any faster. I think she was completely all in, and I think it just says that Emery ran a tremendous race. I think this was a big effort from Ways and Means, but I wouldn't count on being more in the tank the way she finished today. It's when horses kind of flick their ears and their stride shortens up a little, their head comes up, that they kind of waiting on horse a little. Ways and Means has that demeanor. She ran through the wire.
Determined effort, Ways and Means. Owner Seth Klarman leading her into the winner's circle. Chad Brown screen right. Andy, and what this must mean as far as just some of the pressure lifted as she does fulfill that promise and win at the very highest level.
Yeah, I mean, listen, after she lost to Cocky Oaks, Seth said to me, I can't believe she's 1 for 4. You know, it's sort of amazing. And while she'd run well with excuses, you start to get concerned that she's going to be one of those horses that's just never going to live up to the promise. And while obviously the big win last time, the allowance, this is a gigantic win for them to get it done. And as you said, the star of the race was the key. Once she broke cleanly, there was just no reason if she ran a race she was going to lose here.
Yeah, no, she broke super sharp out of the gate. And for Flavien Prat, who is just so confident in what she's doing, when Emery rushes up to her inside, 9 times out of 10, a rider won't allow that to happen. He'll move over and take that spot, but he's just so confident. Go ahead. You want to come up inside of me? You want the lead? That's fine. I'll have a target to run at. And it's just a supreme sign of confidence. And as Jonathan said, I don't think there's a point in the race where you don't feel like she's going to win.
Yeah, look, I mean, she looked comfortable the entire time, and like I said before they broke away from there, she's got a little, you know, we'll see what the figure comes back, the speed figure. But yeah, I think she's got a chance to be the favorite for the Filly and Mare Sprint in the Breeders' Cup.
Her jockey going to work, Flavien Prat, 8th stakes win at the meet, 2nd of the Grade 1 variety. Prat in those Klarman red and white colors for trainer Chad Brown, Ways and Means. Grade 1 winner takes down the test. Will Prat be in the winner's circle after the Whitney? We'll find out this evening. He rides that colt. National Treasure, Preakness winner last year, 2 Grade 1 victories this year, and the favorite in the 97th running of the Grade 1 Whitney. Welcome back. Fox Saratoga Saturday, brought to you in part by Hill & Dale, Atalapa. Spa Park, National Historic Landmark, 2,200 acres, just over a mile from the racetrack. And here at Saratoga, where we just watched Ways and Means do her thing, we've always known she has loads of ability. The question, could she bring it when it matters most? Andy, now a Grade 1 victory, onward and upward.
No, this is a huge win for her, and it gives her a chance to perhaps go for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. I mean, it was not always necessarily the plan, but she's been training well, and hopefully she can get there now.
A 3-year-old filly, when Kofefi won this test stakes, she captured the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. Ways and Means, can she do the same? Emery, solid effort, my main squeeze. Ways and Means in the test presented by Ticketmaster. We march forward. Fasig-Tipton Lure is next. As you know, no turf racing this afternoon. The Saratoga Derby, Troy, postponed till next Saturday. The Lure on the main track from the Wilson Chute. For that reason, the defections. Andy, now what becomes like the theme of this Lure now on the main track?
Well, a lot of attention is going to go to the MTO on the outside. MTO means main track only. You're entering, you can only run if the race comes off. So inevitably, a lot of those are the horses they look at. And Filmstar is the horse to beat on the outside. Trainer Linda Rice, she was able to tie Chad Brown for the trainer's title last year because she's extremely shrewd about having horses entered as MTO in just about all her turf races. And last year, with a lot of rain, a lot of races came off, and she was able to tie Chad because she's shrewd and was in the right spots. Now, there isn't just one dirt horse in this race, though. There's another dirt horse near, and that's the number 3 Swiftsure, whose connections might have been looking to try the turf, or maybe they were hoping the rain would take the race off the turf. And I'm surprised to see that horse one of the longest shot in the board, because he may not win, but he'll be in front early.
Named after the 2-time Breeders' Cup Mile winner, Claiborne's Lure. The Lure coming up in about half hour on the main track here at Saratoga as we march closer and closer to the Whitney. And next, have a little bit of everything for you today. From Meadowlands, shifting breeds from standard thoroughbreds to standardbreds here. The Hambletonian, the Super Bowl, the Kentucky Derby of standardbred racing, field with updated odds. Carl, 9-5 the favorite. Drawn inside as we send it over to Jessica and Gabe at Meadowlands. Guys, one of the more intriguing subplots of this Hambletonian is how many of the horsemen, the drivers specifically, who have achieved at the highest level in this sport, but yet to win a Hambletonian.
Yeah, it takes everything to go right on Hambletonian Day in the Hambletonian. 10 horses going towards the gate, Gabe. And there are 3 horsemen in this race that have yet to get the Hambletonian trophy. Yannick Gingras is going to be looking to get his first Hambo trophy. Nancy Tactor is his trainer, and she'll only look back-to-back.
Yeah, she'll try to go back-to-back, just like the Kentucky Derby. You get one crack at this a year. Yannick Gingras is the 4th all-time leading money-winning driver in the history of the sport. $236 million and change. He won his 9,000th race earlier this week. He turned 45 today, so it would be a nice birthday present for him on Hambletonian Day here at the Meadowlands. But this is the one race that has eluded him. 2014, he had Father Patrick, made a break in stride. He had a 2-horse race-off one year. He picked the wrong horse. He qualified both. So many chances. He got a big win today with Carl.
And David Miller is also looking for his first Hambletonian trophy. He did taste, a little bit of winning there in 2017 with What the Hill before he got placed back. He just won his 2nd Meadowlands driving title this year. The first one prior to that was 20 years prior to it. He did announce earlier this week next year will be his final season on the East Coast. It would be one heck of a story tale if David Miller could get the job done behind TCI.
It could be. TCI is going to be one of the favorites here, Jess. We know that he teams up with the all-time leading trainer in the history of horse racing. That's Ron Burke. He's got nearly 15,000 career wins. He's the sport's $330 million man. So he just keeps rolling and rolling. They teamed up in 2017. They crossed the line first with What the Hill to ultimately be disqualified. Sort of misfortune there after a lengthy DQ. They're hoping it's all good fortune here today with TCI.
It is going to be a good one. Lots of storylines heading into the 99th edition of the Hambletonian. Back to you guys.
Elusive Hambletonian is right. Incredible. Those great drivers and trainers yet to win a Hambletonian. Maybe that changes today. We'll have it for you right here on Fox Saratoga Saturday. As for the crowd here, unfazed by the weather earlier, now a gorgeous afternoon, and we get closer to the Whitney this evening, race 11. And when we come back, the stuff Hollywood scripts are made of. Husband and wife Sheldon and Brittany Russell trying to win the Whitney together. She does the training, he rides the horses. They do it all together for the love of the sport. And wow, what a story. Should Post Time pull off the upset and win the Whitney? That story's next.
Let's Gun Runner go, and he's opened up a 4-length lead. Breaking Lucky is second, Keen Ice on the outside is third as they come to the line. Gun Runner wins the Whitney.
Tour de force. And look at that, JK. He did it with a horseshoe stuck in his tail. Gun Runner in the 2017 Whitney. Look at it behind it all tangled up back there.
And I can't run up the stairs without stretching first. I mean, let alone running with a horseshoe in my tail.
Well, they say a horseshoe up your, in your tail is very, very good luck.
Do you ever have a horseshoe in your tail, Tom?
Gun Runner inducted into the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame yesterday. 2017 Horse of the Year. Number 2 Disarm is by Gun Runner, 15-1 outsider. Tom, what is it going to take for him to be a factor in this Whitney?
Well, look at the connections. I mean, with Disarm is trained by Steve Asmussen, who also trained Gun Runner, is by Gun Runner, son of Gun Runner. I mean, maybe he gets that horseshoe in his tail as well. And look, you're looking at Disarm right there. That's a little cotton in the ears. That kind of takes the noise away from a horse. You probably wear that in the paddock as well. We'll have to ask the girls when he comes, but it's a little clever trick that trainers use to kind of keep the crowds, which are very big here, from disrupting the horse and kind of losing his mental composure.
Not a bad idea for you, Lafitte.
He's not lying. Cotton in ears, horseshoe and tail. Where's the show going? Disarm, 15-1 outsider. And then you have Post Time, who's 20-1 on the morning line. Ridden by Sheldon Russell, trained by Brittany Russell. If it sounds like they spend a lot of time together, it's because they do. And Brittany Russell, who went out on her own about 6 years ago, and she's won a lot of success, a 2-time leading trainer. in Maryland. Many of those wins with her husband Sheldon in the saddle. They've been married. They've started a family together. They're winning races together. And this afternoon with Post Time, trying to win the Whitney together.
I worked on a racehorse farm when I first started in Pennsylvania, and he was fairly fresh in the U.S. He had come to Laurel, and that was probably our first introduction.
You know, this job is long hours, so like knowing that we both sort of had the same interest in the horse racing, it was just easy.
I traveled, I was here and there, and we always stayed in touch, and like when I came back home, like it just worked. We got married, I started training, we had kids. we jumped in, you know, feet, you know, both feet first.
Might as well get on the camera a little bit, right?
It's good. I mean, look, first and foremost, he's my husband, and he's the father of my children, but, you know, like, business is business, and, you know, look, we don't always agree.
She gives bad instructions.
I love when I tell him something and I look up and it's just completely opposite. And if it works out in Sheldon's favor, he's the hero.
I watched her ride amateur races. She cannot be giving me advice on how to ride, okay?
You know, we're both in it pretty much 24/7, but my phone never stops ringing, and there has to be a balance. And like, we struggle some days. Like, it's tough to have that balance, but, you know, we do our best, and look, the kids are with us a lot, and that's what we want.
Once we get home, even if we've had a bad day, like having those two kids there sort of keeps work and our other life sort of is all focused on them. So and we try and make it as fun as we can.
Can you just hang on a little tighter? So, you know, wake up in the morning, make sure everybody's good. If I'm not at Fair Hill that morning, the first message I send is to Emma, Posty good. So yeah, he's right there at the top.
There's been a few highlights. I would say probably his win at Aqueduct in the Grade 2 would be a highlight.
Post time to the outside, Castle Chaos, down to the inside, down to these two, post time!
It meant something to us, and not just for us, you know, Ellen Charles, Post Time's owner. It was just a special win. I've never won a Grade 1. Brittany's won one, so I'm one behind. It'd be nice to win one. The race is packed with great jockeys, and to be amongst them and some of those great horses, I feel very special. So the fact that he's brought us this far, that's huge.
Wow, what a story. What if Post Time can pull off the upset, Tom, win a Whitney, and for Brittany and Sheldon Russell, what would that mean to them?
Well, we talked about it earlier, what a Grade 1 race is and how rare they are for trainers to win, because there's so few of them that are offered in the United States. But the Whitney, of course, is one of those. But the dynamic of a trainer that puts their heart and soul into a horse and then gets ready to run in a race, and that relationship with a rider, sometimes after the race, it can get a little edgy. And I know it does for me, but, you know, I can't imagine what that dynamic's like in the home life, right? It can't be easy.
A lot of time together.
Don't give me that look.
Time together. Post Time far from the Whitney favorite, but the sentimental favorite in the featured event this evening. As for the featured event, every year in Standardbred Racing, the Hambletonian at the Big M. We check in with Jess and Gabe, getting closer to Post Time. Guys.
Yes, we are getting closer to post time. We just experienced a little bit of a torrential downpour here, but it cooled down a little bit, Gabe.
You know, it actually cooled down a lot.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, Jess, a lot of trainers wait to the last moment to make shoeing adjustments. Some trainers, in fact, in Standardbred Racing will even pull the shoes completely. We talked to trainer Ron Burke a little earlier today. He trains TCI here. You know, he had mentioned he wanted to see how the track held up. So, you know, we're trying to get the note if he did, in fact, pull those shoes or not. So a lot can change when that weather changes. We certainly had a monster weather change here about 30 minutes ago, as it was a steamy New Jersey Saturday afternoon. We're just after a downpour. It's cooled off tremendously. Track now listed as good.
Let's dive into those eliminations last week where both Carl and TCI were coming off of defeats. Carl bounced back really nicely to come from slightly off of the pace to overtake the lead late in the stretch.
Yeah, you're going to watch it back here. You'll see Carl coast by to Witt and have enough there. He was the favorite, but the connections actually mentioned, Jess, he's never been better. That was from trainer Nancy Tacker. That was from driver Yannick Gingras. It was a career best performance in terms of time, 1:50.3. He couldn't be coming into the Hambletonian here in any better form. 14 of 16 in his life, nearly $1.3 million in earnings.
And then you have TCI, who Ronnie Berg said he didn't feel right warming up in a division of the Stanley Dancer. He come into that elimination last week, made a few changes, did a complete physical on him, I guess you could say, and he thought he was going to come into the race better last week. He did, and I talked to him earlier this week. He said his horse trained great.
Yeah, he seems to be very, very confident on TCI. When Ron Berg speaks, we listen. Again, he's the leading trader of all time in the history of horse racing. Eddie Breed, nearly 15,000 wins, over $330 million in purse earnings. But, as we said, the Hambletonian's been the ones that eluded him. He's got a major shot here, Jess, with TCI. You see his elimination race. You know, he was on the front end there, pretty well rated, but he did have just enough there in the late stages to fight off a nice rival that was trying to finish him on their private access. But I think if they just kept going there, he was always going to dig in to get that win. That's a horse that just knows how to dig down and get it done.
TCI and Carl have been leading 1-2 on the road to the Hambletonian since the beginning of the year. This is the third time they are going to meet up, and they are going to settle the score, hopefully, in just about 7 or 8 minutes. The track has been downgraded to good after that rainstorm that we had, so I do want to mention that as well. We'll send it back to the desk before we dive in deeper to the Hambletonian.
Marquee event, Jess. Kentucky Derby of Standardbred Racing, the Hambletonian, 99th running next from Meadowlands on Fox, Saratoga Saturday. Whitney Saturday at Saratoga. Welcome back, Fox, Saratoga Saturday. And the lure coming up shortly. Field updated odds off the turf on the main track, 1 mile from the Wilson Chute. Film Star to the outside, 3-4. Maggie's in the paddock. Maggie, what are you seeing from Pioneering Spirit at 3-1 for Linda Rice?
And Lafitte, yeah, he's the other Linda Rice entrant. And while most of his success has come on the turf, he won a stake up here last year on the turf, third in the Grade 1 Sword Dancer last time, which was only 2 weeks ago up here at the Spa. He was a wreck. They could barely get the tack on him. He was completely washed out. It spilled over to the racetrack, in which he was incredibly restless at the gate. He wasn't standing. He hopped up at the start and really blew all of his chances. Now, he's a horse that began his career on the dirt and has handled wet tracks in the past. He is being an angel. It's a night and day difference. He's so calm, so relaxed, and looks so happy and content today. Lafitte?
Linda Rice, trainer, strong 1-2 punch in this lure. Pioneering Spirit and the favorite in Film Star, Tom, at 3-4.
Yeah, so as Andy mentioned earlier, Film Star was entered only if this race was taken off the grass. It was, so that horse draws in. And a formidable opponent is Film Star for the rest of these horses.
Oh, there's no doubt he's the horse to beat in this race. And I'm not even going to say he's necessarily an underlay at 3-5 in this race. But what I think is a mistake is that the number 3 Swiftsure is 4-1. I think he should be the clear second choice in this race, because while Pioneering Spirit's run okay in the dirt, he won a race people see by 15 3/4 lengths. It was a 2-horse race. It was an off-the-turf 2-horse field, and the other one couldn't run at all, and it got a very low speed figure. It was a slow race. And the other horse, Johnny's Fireball, he's okay. I mean, to be fair, he's not bad. He's run okay in the dirt. I actually think he should be the third choice in this race. But Swiftsure is the controlling speed, Swiftsure. And he has run races fast enough to beat the favorite.
And it should be noted that the distance of this race changes when it goes from the turf to the dirt. It's actually a little shorter, and that plays to Swiftshure's chances.
Fasick tipped in the lure next from Saratoga. The Hambletonian next from the Meadowlands. Back to Jess and Gabe on site.
Thanks so much. It's time to dive deeper into the 99th edition of the Hambletonian. Gabe, what a field we have. I know Carl and TCI have been, the headliners leading up into the Hambletonian, but there's 8 other very solid contenders heading into this 99th Hambletonian today. We'll talk about Carl and a horse he faced a couple of weeks ago and last week. That 6 Hour, he actually upset the apple card back in the Stanley Dancer on Meadowlands Pace Night.
Yeah, to see he's 5-1 on the board right now, Jess, that does not surprise me. That's the 8-6 Hour speaking of. And we'll take a look at that replay. Rolled him back Stanley Dancer. They were going for $135,000. Now, keep in mind, this was only the second start back of the season for 6 Hour. He rolled by Carl at 68-1 to pull off that upset. So it was a sharp performance. He's only had 3 starts under his belt. The question for 6 Hour, is the pace scenario going to be right for him today from an outside post? It is. He legged up enough with only 3 starts under his belt here as a 3-year-old to step up and tackle the best trotters in North America.
Noel Daly and Andy McCarthy both said earlier on in this season he's just very steady. So they had to really take their time and get him back to the races. That's exactly what they've done. He was 4 for 5 in his 2-year-old season, and then, unfortunately went off stride there in his last start. He's, peaking, I guess you could say, at the right time.
I think so. I think that's all the optics we've gotten from the connections is that he is peaking here at the right time. They say he's a handful, by the way, to deal with in the barn. He is not a friendly customer, so kudos to his grooms that keep him race ready and take care of him on a daily basis. So he's one tough customer here. 6 Hour. We'll see if he can bring his fastball here. I think he's going to need that lively pace scenario to set up for a closer here to win on the sport's biggest stage.
TCI, Ronnie Burke and David Miller are going to team up to maybe capture the Hambletonian trophy. Your Post 4 for them. He bounced back nicely after his loss in the Stanley Dancer in his Hambletonian elimination.
He really did. He got a lot of respect, though, Jess. He was the favorite there. They sort of let him go to the lead and just rolled along. He did dig down and get that job done. I don't want to discount him. Jess, he's the richest 2-year-old standardbred of all time. Yes, that's right. The richest 2-year-old trotter of all time in the history of this sport. Over $1.2 million. So his credentials speak for themselves. You said it. It's a rubber match between he and Carl. It's 1-1 heading into this one. I think both connections feel like they have a little excuse for the previous time they met up. So, we'll see. Those are the 2 headliners. TCI deserves to be the second choice.
Bob McClure knows what it's like to have a Hambletonian trophy. He upset with Forbidden Trade a few years ago. He gets Post 3 behind Highland Kismet, Mark Etzel. Now, this guy, he was unraced at the age of 2. He's a Good Times champion, and that was a big move he made last week.
Yeah, did not start at all. Not really a horse we would expect to see here on Hambletonian Day when this year started. But Highland Kismet's a horse that likes to race from off the pace. He's got Post 3 here. I look for him to sit early, look to pounce late. He's another that would need a lively tempo, but he's got a very good late kick if they can time it right.
A Private Access was charging on the outside of of TCI last week. He gets Post 9 to work with today.
I think his hand's going to be forced here, Jess. I think he's going to have to blast from Post 9. Driver James McDonald, he won our biggest pace race here at the Meadowlands all year, the Meadowlands Pace. He'll try and pull off that huge double aboard Private Access. Is 23-1, and the rain showers are back, guys, as we get set for post time here for the 99th Hambletonian. If you like a sloppy track, well, here we are. It is absolutely pouring at post time. It's Hambletonian 99. It's live on Fox, America's Trotting Classic, with over $1 million on the line. The rain is rolling, and we're going to send it upstairs to our Hall of Fame announcer, Ken Warkington.
And far back on a break is security protected. On gate for race 12, the 99th Hambletonian. Here they come. And they're off and trotting in the Hambletonian in a downpour. Secret Agent Man, 6 Hour, and Private Access on the far outside, leaving hard. It's Mars Hill and Carl on the inside, cuts the corner. Secret Agent Man takes the lead. Hustling up on the outside is Private Access, taking over now from Secret Agent Man. 6 Hours now third on the inside. TCI ranges up fourth on the outside. Highland Kismet is fifth. Carl is sixth past the opening quarter. Then comes Mars Hill on the inside with Bella's, Muscle Hill, and Amazing Catch the trailer. Hot quarter, 26-4. 6 Hour leads it, not for long. Here comes TCI to take charge. TCI in the Buckeye. Dave Miller takes over in the Hambletonian. 6 Hour back in the second spot as they cross the backstretch. Private Access on the inside third. Highland Kismet gets involved now on the outside. Live toe for Carl. He's second over fifth. Secret Agent Man is shoveled to sixth on the inside. Then comes Mars Hill with Bella's Muscle Hill and Amazing Catch. The half for TCI was 54-3. Onto the far turn they go. TCI in front, taking on Highland Kismet on the outside. Right there on the inside, 6 Sauer in the pocket. Second over is Carl. Carl is poised to pounce from second over position as they get set to pass 3/4. And they are stride for stride. On the inside, it's TCI. And on the outside, Highland Kismet. And Carl is third on the outside. 6 Sauer needs some racing room. They turn home off 3/4 in 1:22 and 4 into the stretch of the Hambletonian. Highland Kismet, big effort first over. TCI is trying to battle back. And right there is Carl on the outside with a late lunge. Highland Kismet, Carl on the outside, a final surge. Carl, Yannick Gingras, and Nancy Tactor. He's king of the Hambletonian. It's Carl. Then close, amazing catch with Highland Kismet and 6 Sauer. Carl takes it in 1:51 and 3.
We're here, guys. We're here for reaction.
Well, there you have it, and a torrential downpour. TCI made him go, to the lead there up the backside, Gabe, and Carl got pulled into it second over.
Yeah, he was teed up perfectly, Jess. I'm not sure if anyone was teed up perfectly in the conditions we're in here right now, but Yannick wouldn't have wanted to trade place with anyone. He got to track cover to the top of the stretch, and believe me, it was still a street fight to the finish. Highland Kismet put in a bold bid here first up, nearly fended off Carl. But guys, you want to know how much this means to Yannick Gingras? He was at 9,007 career wins, the fourth leading driver all time in the sport of harness racing, and he was absolutely ecstatic across that line. I've never seen him show that type of emotion. This one meant a lot. I know he's happy to get that monkey off the back, and it's great to see here. Fabulous connections for a fabulous trotting colt and a big win with Carl.
Can't wait to get the reaction from driver Yannick Gingras. Trainer Nancy Tactor has been able to capture what only her father did just a few years back, going back-to-back years in the Hambletonian.
Absolutely amazing, Jess. We'll have more Winter Circle reaction coming up and a complete downpour here at the Meadowlands. We'll send it back to Lafitte at the studio.
A dramatic Hambletonian right at post time. The monsoon hits, and through the driving rain, Carl Yannick Gingras finally a Hambletonian winning driver. That stuff's not heading here, is it? I like it. This is we're good like this.
Yeah, no, we're good.
We're good. Muddy track in a post parade for the lure. Off the turf on the main track. And you're looking at Swift Shore. Surface change works for him. He's only raced on dirt, followed by number 6, Johnny's Fireball. He is a 2-time winner on dirt.
It's the turf horse who decided to stay in. He's got an okay dirt race, but it does not stack up to these other horses' dirt races.
Maggie liked what she saw. Pioneering Spirit by Triple Crown winner American Pharaoh.
I think he should be the longest shot on the board, in my opinion, based on his dirt races. He's the least likely winner of this race.
Film Star, favored, entered for just this, main track only.
If he runs his last race, Film Star, he'll be in the winner's circle getting his picture taken.
Lure, main track from the Wilson Chute. Richie, what's the key to winning this lure?
I think a clean break and getting yourself into the right position, turning onto the backstretch. And the horse I like and I'm going to pick is the 3, Swift Shore. He possesses natural speed. He's drawn inside. I think that's an advantage out of this Wilson Chute. And I think Film Star is a better horse when he's able to get into a good rhythm. I think Kendrick Carmouche on Swift Shore would be better off going a little faster and take Film Star out of his rhythm and make him chase him. And maybe that's the way he can upset the apple cart. Maggie, what are you seeing out there?
Could not agree with you more, Richie, but we saw aggressive warm-ups from Swiftsure as well as Pioneering Spirit and Film Star. All horses full of run out here. Kendrick Carmouche really giving Swiftsure a big warm-up, though. He looks incredibly fit coming back off of that layoff dating back to April 13th, and he also looks better in his coat. Just all around looks as though he's doing much better for Horacio De Paz. As we'll also take a look at number 10, Film Star. He was headstrong for Irad Ortiz as he galloped him off towards the backside here. And he settled in nicely, kind of expended that nervous energy. He does look tighter having that one race under his belt. I think, though, that these two are going to go at it, and it's going to set up for Pioneering Spirit, who I'm going to take a stab with here, Acacia, as maybe he sits the right trip, and 2, he's just behaving better.
And good to see from him, Maggie, for a horse that often will get warm before his races. But I, too, am in the Swiftsure bandwagon. He's a horse that I thought has just really developed a lot more and filled out. And I love to hear that he's just doing better overall from a health standpoint in the way that he's making an appearance on track today. He has a lot of good leg to him as well. Sometimes trying to stretch that speed, Lafitte, it doesn't necessarily transfer. He looks like a horse who could potentially handle the turf one day, but I like him on the main track today.
Film Star, Acacia 1-2, Swiftsure, Kendrick, Carmouche. There is, wow, live look there from Meadowlands. We just watched Carl win the Hambletonian, driving rainstorm and added drama. There is an inquiry. We don't know who it involves. None of us standard-bred experts. You're seeing the head-on. If anything jumps out to any of you.
I know that I've seen thousands and thousands of harness races in my life and seen about 2 disqualifications. So they're pretty rare in harness racing, especially relative to thoroughbred racing.
Jessica and Gabe, what are we looking at? Looking at the head-on here, what took place in the stretch? What caught your eye?
It's hard to see there. It looks like the inquiry is on the 10. Amazing catch. I was trying to catch the replay video there. It doesn't look like it affects the top 2 finishers, Carl and Highland Kismet. We'll wait to get to see if we'll see the rollback of the stretch there.
All right, so you're looking at, our viewers are looking at what the stewards are looking at Meadowlands for the moment with the blanket over the withers of Carl and Yannick Gingras. It's a great story for the moment. Inquiry pending following the Hambo at Meadowlands. We'll keep you posted, but here at Saratoga, we are set for the Lure, named in honor of the 2-time Breeders' Cup Mile winner, this Phasic-Tipton Lure. Filing into the gate, Frank Miramati standing by with the call.
Film Star walking up to complete the line.
Sure.
Who's on Film Star?
And they're off in the Phasic-Tipton Lure. And it's a quick start for both Swiftsure and Film Star. Those two speed clear by 3 over Johnny's Fireball and Pioneering Spirit, 2 by 2, going on to the backstretch. And it's Swiftsure leading the way, has it now by just under a length. Film Star is comfortably placed outside of him, backs off just a touch, and then it's another 4 lengths back to Johnny's Fireball, 5 to Pioneering Spirit. The opening quarter went in 23 4/5 seconds. Swiftsure takes him toward the half-mile pole with Film Star right off his flank and under a nice hold too. Another 3 back to Johnny's Fireball, who's 4 in front of Pioneering Spirit. Swiftsure just a neck. Film Star starting to turn up the pressure now though, and there he goes. Film Star has taken the lead through a half in 46 4/5 seconds. Film Star in front. Swiftsure trying to stay close, but he's now a length behind, and Film Star has been asked for absolutely nothing in the meantime. Pioneering Spirit has surfaced as they come through mid-stretch. Film Star spurts clear by 4. Pioneering Spirit has moved into second, and Swiftsure is third. A 16th to run, and Film Star was a winner every step of the way. Just coaxed along by Irad Ortiz Jr. to win it by 3.5 lengths over Pioneering Spirit. Swiftsure checked in third.
No drama in this one. Film Star Irad Ortiz rolls in the Lure.
Just ran like the best horse today, was able to get lapped on a fair pace outside of Swiftsure, and he was just way too much horse for that rival.
He was. And if you watch the start of this race and you pay attention to the 10 horse who won this race in Film Star, you'll watch Irad Ortiz. There he is at the top of the stretch on Film Star. The way you ask for a horse to run is through your hands. Irad Ortiz has not used his hands at all to communicate to Film Star until right about through here. And when he does, Film Star kicks home nicely.
Lafitte, I think it's funny, right? Film Star was 3 to 5 here.
Yeah.
Ways and Means was 3 to 5 in the race before. In my opinion, Film Star had a lot easier work to have to deal with to get that 3 to 5. That's what makes this game so interesting, is trying to decide when it's actually a good price and when it's not.
Let's go back to the start, you guys. I want to show you what Irad Ortiz does, what everybody does if they're an outside horse with speed. They want to know what's happening inside of them, and that's the advantage of having speed on the outside. Watch Irad on the 10 horse, look over, and see what everybody's doing. He just did it there. He wants to know what's happening inside him, what that pace is going to be, and that's how he decides how he's going to ride the race.
And also the fact that Swiftsure couldn't get away from it early made it very hard for that one to beat him.
Superstar rider Irad Ortiz takes down the lure with Film Star and is with Maggie.
And typical of Irad Ortiz, not pulling any punches, really seizing the bull by the horn early with what proved to be the best horse here in Film Star. Irad.
He broke so well, so sharp. I let him saddle, tried to relax him, and he wants to be there so bad, so I let him be there by his own and just buying my time, turning for home, I still in hands, and I asked him, he was ready. Linda did a great job with him.
Yeah, he was really good. Second off the bench here, but you'll be aboard Crouppy in the next one, the Grade 1 Whitney. A horse that has taken a while to come around, but he has now for Todd Pletcher. Little less ground today for him. Is that okay? Seems like there's pace.
Can be okay with the pace of the on the race. It looked like we have some horses with speed there. Hopefully they go. And if they back up a little bit, they backing up, I'm sure he's going to come running.
Well, congratulations here. Good luck in the next.
Thank you, Maggie.
Well, you can't help but feel good when the meet's leading rider is confident in Crouppy. Guys?
A four-time Whitney winner, and he's won 3 of the last 4, Irad Ortiz. We'll see what he does with Crouppy in the Whitney. Back to Meadowlands with Jess and Gabe.
Thanks so much. The 99th Hambletonian goes to Carl, Yannick Gingras, Nancy Tactor and company. I'll start with the winning driver here. Yannick, just kind of walk us through the race and the torrential downpour.
Yeah, I started raining before the gate opened, but I kind of was happy where I got situated. I figured there'd be so much speed in the race. When Bobby got away in front of me, I figured he was a great horse to follow. So I was actually really happy going to the quarter where I was. I was even happier at the half when it popped up 54 and change. I was like, now it's his race to lose, and then top of the stretch, he got running in a little bit, and then Andy was trying to squeeze out, so it was a real tight quarter there for, a couple hundred feet, so I just had to wait for my horse to get straightened up, but when I got after him in the stretch, he showed what a true champion he is.
You got your 9,000th career driving win earlier in the week at the Red Mile. You're a Hall of Fame driver. You've won plenty of races. Just talk about the emotion now getting to be able to hold the Hambletonian trophy.
No, it means so much, especially for my kids. I seen it as they got older, the disappointment in their face every week, every year. And, they're not disappointed that I'm not winning. They're disappointed for me because they know how much it means. And that one is for the 3 of them.
And you put a lot on the line for them.
Yeah, well, that's part of the life of a catch driver.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great birthday present, and we're going to celebrate.
Congratulations. We'll bring in winning trainer Nancy Tactor. Nancy, you made it 2 Hambletonians in a row. The last person to do that was a guy named Jimmy Tactor.
Yeah, I was definitely a lot prettier in the winter circle last year, I feel like, and a lot drier. But, he's just an amazing horse. I'm really proud of my team that we got him here, and it's been almost been a year and a week since he baby raced the first time, and this was always the end goal, and to get it done and to get it for Yannick is extra special too.
What were your thoughts when it started to downpour?
I was like, are they seriously waiting for the rain? Because I knew it was coming, but we don't take a lot of rain days, and we train through the rain all winter and through terrible weather, so I knew that he would handle it well. But obviously it would have been nicer if it was 85 and sunny, but it is what it is. I'm just happy. Everybody looks good and everybody's happy in a winter circle.
Congratulations. Go enjoy it.
Thank you.
Carl wins the 99th edition of the Hambletonian. Yannick Gingras gets trophy number 1. Nancy Tactor takes back-to-back Hambletonians. We'll send it back to you guys.
Like father, like daughter, an emotional Hambletonian win. Yannick Gingras, finally, Hambo victory. Standardbred racing, thoroughbred racing, Tom, winning at the highest levels, winning at the highest level.
When you dedicate your life to something, no matter what it is, but I can tell you from thoroughbred racing, when you get a moment like that, it's just one that makes you reflect on everything that's occurred in your career. All the teachers you had, all the ups and downs you had, it just makes everything worthwhile.
Worthwhile, it pays off in a big way. Carl in a dramatic, emotional Hambletonian at Meadowlands. Carl's drinking out of the trophy.
Well,
Why
his driver
not?
said they were going to
He
celebrate.
deserves it. He
I didn't know the horse was coming to dinner and partying with him.
And that was just to put a button on it. And, was there a disqualification? It didn't involve the winner. All good. He's drinking out of the trophy. I don't know that we'll see any of that here at Saratoga. Arad Ortiz, another win here. Second on the afternoon. Fazek tipped in winner circle lead and brought to you by the 103rd Saratoga sale of selected yearlings August 5th and 6th, Monday and Tuesday. Where will you be? Jonathan doesn't miss that party. No way he misses that party. Film star here. Arad Ortiz over Pioneering Spirit, Swift Sure. Yeah, in complete command every step of the way here, Tom.
Very much so. From the very start, Irad knew what he was on, knew what he was up against, knew how to position his horse against the pace. That's got to be a great feeling when you've gone 20 yards out of the gate and feel like you're going to win.
Troy has been postponed next Saturday, so we turn the page, cue the animation, America's Best Racing's Race of the Week. What else? 97th running, Grade 1, Whitney. Breeders' Cup Challenge event, win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Look at the early wagering. National Treasure, odds on in the early stages at 3-5, the Whitney. Tom, let's start big picture with the Breeders' Cup and what this means. A spot in the Breeders' Cup Classic starting gate. The Breeders' Cup, for fans that don't follow horse racing on a day-to-day basis, what is the significance as the Breeders' Cup as an event?
Well, it's not just a Breeders' Cup race, it's the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's the championship race at the end of the season that so many times the horses that have won it have gone on to be Eclipse Award champions as well. But still, the stallion potential and the money to be made off the racetrack for any one of these horses that can take this Whitney, get a spot in the starting gate for free in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and then go on to possibly win the Breeders' Cup Classic as it's been done 2 of the last 3 years. You can't put a price on that.
White Barrio last year won this Whitney, went on to Breeders' Cup Classic glory. Andy, you're growing up in Saratoga. You can sense the energy here today, massive crowd, the Whitney itself, the significance of this race and why so important.
Well, it's really, I started going to it in 1975, and that was almost 10 years before the Breeders' Cup started. At that time, it was really one of the most important races of the year. I saw the great California runner, Ancient Title, win this race the first time I saw Whitney in 1975, and it's basically a race that is the who's who of the best horses in racing if you go back to the history of the horses that have won the Whitney.
Pretty good horse from California this year, National Treasure, JK, the odds-on favorite.
Absolutely. National Treasure was a really good 3-year-old. He won the Preakness, and he did it well, right? But I wasn't overwhelmed by his performance. He was a good horse, but now it looks as if he's trying to be a great horse as a 4-year-old, and I think that starts here today to kind of finalize that, right? He won the Met Mile, he won the Pegasus, but if he can win that Whitney, he's definitely in the driver's seat to get Horse of the Year.
He's different now. He is better now, National Treasure. And for that reason, the odds-on favorite in this Whitney, trained by 2-time Triple Crown winner Bob Baffert, seeking a 3rd victory in the Whitney. There he is, having sent National Treasure from California in the Met Mile Belmont Stakes Week. Sensational. Flavian Pratt looking for a Grade 1 sweep. Standing in his way, Todd Pletcher, 4-time Whitney winner. He saddles 3, included Bright Future. You're watching Fox Saratoga Saturday. First Saturday in August at the August place to be. Saratoga Racecourse in Saratoga Springs, New York. Whitney Saturday, Breeders' Cup Challenge Saturday. Who's good enough to qualify for the Breeders' Cup? We'll find out in 34 minutes for the 97th running of the Grade 1 Whitney alongside Jonathan Kinchin, Andy Serling, Tom Amos. I'm Lafitte Pinkai. This is always an exciting moment. There's the prestige of the Whitney. Grade 1 event with $1 million purse, Tom, but also spinning it forward in what that victory would mean, a spot in the Breeders' Cup Classic starting gate.
A spot in the starting gate for the Breeders' Cup Classic is like having the golden ticket for the lottery. It's what you're looking to do, and a win here certainly stamps you as one of the probable picks in a race like that.
And the other thing is that with a win by National Treasure, say, he'll have the Met Mile and the Whitney, 2 of the most prestigious races in the country. Now, the 3-year-olds get a lot of the press leading up the Breeders' Cup Classic, and there's some pretty good 3-year-olds this year. So if National Treasure can win this race and have 2 major races going into it, a win in the Breeders' Cup sort of cinches horse of the year, whereas a 3-year-old could upset him if things work differently.
Speaking of 3-year-olds, National Treasure was a pretty good 3-year-old, right? He won the Preakness. He ran second in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. But he's got a chance to become a sensational 4-year-old, right? He won the Pegasus, he won the Met Mile. If he can pull off this Whitney, he'll definitely be the leader in the clubhouse for Horse of the Year and the favorite for the Breeders' Cup Classic.
If he could pull off this double, as we saw a season ago, from the Whitney to the Breeders' Cup Classic, White Abarrio a season ago. We thought we would see him in a sprint. We thought we would see him in the Forego. Instead, he took on Cody's Wish, the odds-on favorite, and White Abarrio ran a hole in the wind. That was just the beginning. White Abarrio, that big Whitney win. Trainer Rick Dutrow said, I don't need a prep. He's doing so well, we don't need a prep. There he is, Rick Dutrow, who had won a Breeders' Cup Classic in the past. We're going to train up to the Breeders' Cup Classic, and White Abarrio, and he did that very same thing to his Classic competition as he did in the Whitney.
No, he dominated the Classic, and he really turned things around for Rick Dutrow. Unfortunately, he has not duplicated those performances in subsequent performances, but that doesn't take away what happened last year.
For National Treasure, who last year, as you mentioned, second in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, JK, and there he is, a live look, trained by Bob Baffert, the odds-on favorite. We're going to perhaps get a better indication his performance today, while he has won at 1 1/8, if he can be at his best going longer distances. This is 1 1/8, the Breeders' Cup Classic this fall, 1 1/4.
Well, I just got done telling you that he was pretty good as a 3-year-old, right? He won the Preakness at 1 3/16 when he was pretty good. He's almost exceptional. We'll see in a couple of hours how good he actually is. I have no question about the distance for him. The 1 1/8 is not going to be a problem, and if he wins this race, the 1 1/4 of the Classic wouldn't be why he got beat.
Are you of the belief he is the best older horse right now in that Classic division?
I am. I think National Treasure is the best old horse in the division. You got to put it in perspective. When horses are 3 years old, it's almost like a senior in high school, a freshman in college. You know, they're still not full grown yet, as people would be. But we've seen it before, right? I mean, Gun Runner is a perfect example of a horse that was good at 3 and got very good at 4.
National Treasure can run much faster than that, and he'll be running on a muddy track. John Deere track condition report with the rain overnight, still a muddy surface. And we'll see how he handles it. And the other Whitney runners with about 31 minutes to post. National Treasure. And for jockey Flavien Prat, another look, National Treasure on his way over. He'll enter the paddock as an odds-on Whitney favorite. Flavien Prat, big afternoon at the Spa. Lots to smile about this summer. 8 stakes wins, 2 Grade 1 victories. That was in the Diana earlier today in the test with Ways and Means. Seeking a 3rd Grade 1 win is Prat in the 97th running of the Whitney. Welcome back. Fox Saratoga Saturday, brought to you by the Keeneland September Yearling Sale. Visit the worldsyearlingsale.com. And by Lanes and Stallions. Whitney Saturday here at Saratoga. And of course, as we get closer to the Breeders' Cup, you want to get your hands on the merchandise. There it is for official Breeders' Cup merchandise, including the Peter Millar collection. Go to BreedersCupShop.com. Social media content. It is a Win and You're In Saturday. Post time, trained by Brittany Russell. Feed time. Mealtime, Whitney contender. Post time, had a couple chefs this morning. That's Emma Wolf's son. Emma Wolf, the exercise rider of Post time. That's her son there. What's going in the food, Tom?
Well, that's the Thoroughbred Industries version of Gatorade. That's electrolyte powder. We give it to the horses, kind of replenish their system after they go on the racetrack and work out.
Owner Mike Rapoli's not going to. He said, I think he's body armor.
It's not smart water.
Post time. Brittany Russell, Sheldon Russell. You saw the feature earlier, husband and wife trying to win the Whitney together, 24-1 outsider. National Treasure, though, Andy, 4-5, an odds-on favorite. How surprising to you?
I think it's extremely surprising, and I picked him. I can't really change my picks, but I think he's a dramatic underlight. Ways and Means was 3-5, just a little bit under the 4-5 odds, and she was in a 5-horse field. He's got 10 rivals, or 9 rivals, excuse me, a 9-horse field, and yeah, he's got the speed and he's got the talent, and he is the horse to beat. But just because you're the horse to beat doesn't mean no odds are too short. And I also think the wet track should come into play. I mean, he didn't run terribly on wet tracks, but his 2 races on tracks with moisture in them are somewhat subpar efforts. So I think there are some question marks, and he's not running against a weak field. There are a lot of good horses in this race.
There's Bob Baffert, 4-time Breeders' Cup Classic winner, 2-time Triple Crown winning trainer. To his right, you saw wife Jill, authentic, most recent in 2020. He's won the Whitney twice, seeking a third. And just because, look, it's National Treasure, trained by Bob Baffert. That's part of the reason he's 4-5.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, there's more variables for National Treasure in this big field of what can happen with the opponents than there are with Ways and Means or with Film Star.
Absolutely.
Send things over to Acacia.
And I'm happy to be joined by Drew Fleming, president and CEO of Breeders' Cup Limited. As, of course, Drew, we saw last year's Whitney winner, White Barrio, go on to win the Breeders' Cup Classic. How important is this race?
Well, it's a great race. We've had several classic winners, White Barrio, Gunrunner, Knicks Go, Blame, storied history at beautiful Saratoga, and the Breeders' Cup is very honored to be a part of it.
And Breeders' Cup and Saratoga have a wonderful relationship as well. What's at stake for the winner today?
Well, they automatically qualify to run in the Breeders' Cup World Championships November 1st and 2nd in sunny Del Mar. But it's great. We have 9 Challenge Series races up here this season. The first Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race was actually Belmont weekend, so it's special to be back and enjoy the fans, the atmosphere, and our friends at NYRA do such a fantastic job.
We have a lot to look forward to today. Thanks as always, Drew, and on to the Breeders' Cup.
Thank you very much.
Lafitte?
So much at stake in a victory for the Whitney. A trip to the Breeders' Cup, Del Mar. Breeders' Cup World Championships returns to Del Mar for its 41st running, November 1st and 2nd. Tickets on sale. Head over breederscup.com/tickets now to secure your seats for more information. That's National Treasure's backyard. This time a road game. Riders up in a moment. National Treasure looking for a 3rd Grade 1 victory this season. The 4-5 favorite for the Whitney. Will he be at the Breeders' Cup this fall? Only time will tell. First things first. The Whitney from Saratoga in 24 minutes. Bird's eye view. Saratoga Racecourse getting closer to the main event, the Whitney. 21 minutes out. Fox Saratoga Saturday. Brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment count. And by Coolmore America, home of champions.
A Triple Crown winner, a Breeders' Cup winner, a horse of a lifetime, American Sparrow.
An awesome performance in the Classic. It is Skip Away who crushed the opposition today. He wins by 5 1/2 lengths. Can't Thief clawing his way to the lead. Can't Thief coming down to the line, and Can't Thief has won it. The victory goes to trainer D. Wayne Lucas.
Some of the greatest moments in Breeders' Cup Classic history. Breeders' Cup Classic moments brought to you by Prevagen. Now, there's the current rankings. The Breeders' Cup panel ranking the best 3-year-olds and older horses that we could see in the Breeders' Cup Classic. You see at the top, gentlemen, a tie. National Treasure about to run in this Whitney, and Dornick, who just won the Haskell Belmont Stakes winner, a tie. Of those two, who would you give the edge to?
I would give it to National Treasure. He's run faster races than Dornick, but I don't discount Dornick. But I think what that voting shows is how much prevalence voters put on the 3-year-old races. Look who else was in there. Sierra Leone was up there. Forever Young was up there. It was second, third in the Kentucky Derby. So they're putting a lot of the pressure on the 3-year-olds. They're the ones they're focusing on. But National Treasure, he's the one they have to beat.
Look, I'm one of the voters. I voted, and I voted National Treasure ahead of Dornick, so that's my vote.
How about Forever Young being on the board? Just shows you that the Breeders' Cup is such an international event. You know, Japanese horse that came to the Derby. Some would argue maybe the best horse that ran in the Kentucky Derby this year as a 3rd-place finisher. You know, I just think the Breeders' Cup, I've heard so many people say the Kentucky Derby's on my bucket list, I want to go. But to me, the Breeders' Cup 2-day championship series with all these elite athletes, all these great athletes, and an atmosphere that's total party, that needs to be on everybody's bucket list.
The international influence, City of Troy, one of the most exciting Europeans we may ever see in a Breeders' Cup Classic. That's on the agenda this fall at Del Mar. In this race, the Whitney playing a significant role in terms of this road to the Breeders' Cup Classic. Assistant trainer Jimmy Barnes, Bob Baffert's road warrior. You saw Baffert moments ago, national treasure. And look, JK, this is why he's favored today. What he did in the Met Mile in the undercard of the Belmont Stakes.
Well, the really good Bob Baffert runners take no prisoners, right? They go on the front end, they go fast, they don't try to walk the dog. And National Treasure showed that in the Met Mile. He went fast early and took command early and then ran away from some really nice horses. I just think that his style is one in which that if he shows up and runs his race, no one can really do anything to stop him.
But isn't he going to have to set a I'll play devil's advocate. Isn't he going to have to set a faster pace on this racetrack today? And also, there's no guarantee this racetrack is heavily favoring speed the way the track was the day he won the Met Mile. I'm not knocking him, but today is a different story, and he's an awfully big favorite.
He is the favorite, but the competition is stacked, Maggie, starting with Skippy Longstocking, the Oaklawn Handicap winner.
And Lafitte, I have a little bit of an affinity for Skippy Longstocking. I feel like he's a little bit of an overachiever at times. And last time in the Stephen Foster, in which he ran third, it was an odd trip in which he was pressing the pace of First Mission, dropped back around the turn, then re-rallied to only be beaten 2.5 lengths. Now, Skippy walked into the paddock and I swear was giving all the other horses the side eye. He is just full of personality, but also that dominant personality that you seek in horses, because those are the ones with heart. Those are the ones that want it more. And for me, Skippy looks fantastic physically. Also, it helps the track is the way it is. It's muddy and still sealed for this Grade 1 Whitney. Next, we'll jump to the inside with number 1. That is Post Time. We learned about his connections, his jockey Sheldon Russell and his wife / trainer Brittany Russell. As Post Time, I'll say this. I know this is a steep test for him, and this is the furthest he's ever traveled in his career. Maybe he will turn out to not be a two-turn type of horse or classic distance type. He's built for it, though. This is a long, rangy horse, and what I like most about Post Time, I have watched him mentally mature for the last 6 months. This is a horse that would come in screaming, be standing on his hind legs, thinking about breeding the ponies. He is walking around like a lamb today, and I think that is the right disposition, guys, for him to try the longest distance of his career.
And he has his electrolytes.
He doesn't.
No excuses. No excuses. Post Time. Circling back to Skippy Longstocking, side-eye Skippy, according to Maggie, and that win 2 starts back in the Oaklawn Handicap. Does he have the upside? Does he have the goods to defeat the likes of a National Treasure?
Well, what he has is a race like this one and one or two others that give him a chance to compete with him. There's something though to be said for what Jonathan said. I won't be as harsh, where his best races come against slightly lesser competition.
Keeneland sales grad who's earned more than $2.3 million, Skippy Longstocking. As for the favorite, National Treasure, ridden by Flavien Prat with Richie on their way to the paddock.
Thank you, Lafitte. And Flavien, you're on the big favorite here, National Treasure. He's been very effective on the lead. What's your game plan going in?
Obviously, we're going to try to get a clean break and, a clean run going to the first turn, and we'll see what the other guys wants to do.
Do you think he needs the lead to be most effective?
But he won the Pegasus off the pace. I mean, right off the leader. So no, he doesn't need the lead, but he's quick, and I don't want to change his game.
And how much confidence do you have when a horse shows so much fight like he did against Cody's Wish in the Breeders' Cup Mile last year?
He's a horse that always show up and give his best. So it's a plus.
Okay, best of luck.
Thank you,
guys.
Not exactly climbing the walls with anxiety, is he?
He's already got his Grade 1 today, so everything else is gravy, right?
You'd like to see that from your rider, though, Tom, entering the paddock before a big race like that, just cool and laid back.
Well, we've seen interviews with him and how he cares for the sport. He is extremely passionate, and he's a great student of the game, so don't be misled by that cool demeanor you're looking at right there.
Fierce competitor, unflappable, though. Flavien Prat, Jimmy Barnes, assistant trainer, Bob Baffert. Next to National Treasure, 4 to 5, and there's First Mission. And Jonathan, he is the. Which version are we going to get today? Just a tough read coming in based on his last couple of races.
Well, as a 3-year-old, he showed a ton of talent, and he's been a useful type at this level. But I just can't get over how poorly he ran considering the trip he got in the Stephen Foster. If you would have told me he was going to get it loose on the front end or moderate pace, I would have said, oh, First Mission's going to win. And he didn't. And for that reason, I'm a little bit dubious of who he is now and how he'll run today.
Let's go back to his interview that Brad gave us earlier in the card, where he talked about this horse and said, I really don't understand the race. And that's tough for a trainer when you're going from one race to the next. The horse is showing you the right things in the morning, but you have no reason for why he ran the way he ran.
Having said that, do you think 11-1 compensates for those things? I picked him second, and I'm going to bet him at 11-1 because I think he's too big an overlay. I think he should be about half that price.
He's talking about a change in tactics because he was in front in his last race. He's like, we don't have a choice. National Treasure's just faster. No, we're not going to be in front.
But you know what? He hasn't run his best races in front, so maybe he's better off rating.
Always a special moment before the biggest races every summer, the Grade 1 events, the highest designation in thoroughbred racing in this Whitney. We're at the August place to be, the first Saturday in August. And this Grade 1 Whitney always draws a massive crowd. Such a prestigious race, one of the most important every summer at Saratoga, in a big field that's gathered. While National Treasure is 4-5, there's Bright Future. Another look at Skippy Longstocking as we turn things over to Frank Mirmati.
You shoot him this way.
Very pleased and proud to welcome Alexander Rossi, best known for winning the Indianapolis 500 as a rookie in 2016. Here's Riders Up.
And now the moment we've all been waiting for. Start your engines. Riders Up. Is that good?
You know, I'm honing my skills, but I think he said, Riders Up!
It wasn't gentlemen, start your engines. He didn't go with gentlemen, start your engines. Riders Up. That crowd here awaiting this Grade 1 Whitney post-parade brewing with 11 minutes to go. Can't wait. I'm interested to see what Arthur's Ride does. He was the striking gray you just saw. The acid. We're going to find out how good he is today. The acid test.
And Junior Alvarado has got to send him out of the gate. I mean, he's got to come out firing, and he's going to have to go too fast early to get in a position where he can be comfortable. Do you agree with that, Tom?
Yeah, maybe he should have said, gentlemen, start your engines, because Arthur's Ride, Junior Alvarado, he's got to go from the gate, and you know the 3-horse National Treasure is also going to go from the gate. So the pace set up, Jonathan, early in this race, and how it could maybe play to someone from off the pace, that's got to be taken into consideration as a vulnerability to National Treasure.
My concern with Arthur's Ride is that his best performance, and all these folks here and at home that are thinking about betting him are betting him because he ran so fast and so well last time. The problem is he made the lead, he got loose. He is not going to get loose in here today, and that is a question you have to answer.
We'll see him again in the post-parade. We start with Disarm, no shoe in his tail from what I can see.
No, but he's got those same silks on. He was talented as a 3-year-old. He's got to put it together as a 4-year-old.
National Treasure, 4-5. Flavien Prat looking for the Grade 1 sweep.
He's the horse to catch. He's the horse to beat, but he's also an underlay.
Warrior Johnny in those red colors with the white hearts. Rigney Racing, impressive win here opening day.
This is the long shot I like. I don't think this horse should be the second longest price on the board.
Tyler Gaffley on all smiles. Last Saturday, the win in the Grade 1. Vanderbilt would be a first Whitney for him. Godolphin Blue, first mission in Florent Giroux.
This is the day he needs to put up or shut up. He needs to run a good race here to show he belongs with the big guys.
Krupe, first of 3 for Todd Pletcher.
He's probably the less likely of Todd's, or maybe the second least likely of Todd's runners, but if the race falls apart, he'll be running at the end.
Pletcher trains Bright Future, last summer's Jockey Club Gold Cup winner.
He's the most likely of Todd's horses, and he too would like some pace.
Side-eye Skippy Longstocking.
I was a little mean to him, Lafitte. I think that this is the SEC, and he's more of a kind of a Pac-12 type. You know what I'm saying?
Not the XFL.
He's hedging a little bit here. I don't know.
In the NFL, so would I. Arthur's Ride, there he is, Junior Alvarado aboard.
His bad race in the slop last time, two back, is a concern, but I think if he gets forward in this race, could be behind him, but I think he's a bit of an underlay at 8-1.
Charge it, and Saratoga's all-time leading rider, John Velasquez.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Todd puts him in here, I think says a lot. He was extremely talented at one point, but he never lived up to the hype.
And post time, husband and wife Sheldon, Brittany, Russell trying to win this Whitney together.
It's a bad sign when a horse named Post Time is late for the post parade.
By design in many cases, Tom.
So, I mean, yeah, look, they try to help with these horses run their best race, and sometimes they make exceptions for them.
What a story that would be. When we come back, the Whitney with a trip to the Breeders' Cup Classic on the line. Next on Fox Saratoga Saturday.
You're watching Fox Saratoga Saturday as we are minutes away from the Grade 1 Whitney. I'm joined by trainer Todd Pletcher, who is represented with 3 runners in this upcoming Whitney. Todd, let's start with Bright Future, a Grade 1 winner here at Saratoga last year. What has he shown you back this year as he tries to pick up another one?
We thought his first start back was very good, and we kind of had that in mind as a prep for this. He ran well, he came out of it in great shape, and I really like the way he's been breezing leading up to this. So, we're hoping he's sitting on his A race.
As far as Krupe does go, he's one that really showed he could kind of buck the trend, winning that Suburban during Belmont Week closing. How much confidence did that give you with him?
I thought he ran terrific. It was good to see him run well over this track like that. He'd certainly benefit if the pace got hot up front for a little while, because he's kind of a one-run closer.
Sending out Charge-It as well. Thank you for your time, Todd. Best of luck today.
Thank you.
Lafitte?
Victory today, and Todd Pletcher ties the record for most all-time Whitney victories. Postcards from San Diego, the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar, just south San Diego. You see the Gaslamp District, Belmont Park. No, not that Belmont Park, that Belmont Park. Balboa Park, Casa de Balboa, and the Tide Pools, La Jolla Shores, and you saw Petco Park. Go catch the Dodgers when they go visit the Padres. Doesn't take a lot of imagination to understand why the Breeders' Cup is returning to Del Mar. And one lucky fan has a chance to win a VIP trip to this year's Breeders' Cup. The prize includes round-trip airfare, hotel stay, VIP tickets, and more. Fans can enter the contest free. Enter free at breederscup.com/contests. Are we eligible, man?
I'm going no matter what.
Yeah, I won't miss it. I won't miss it.
A Breeders' Cup back at Del Mar for the 3rd time, and perhaps a few of these horses could wind up there in the Breeders' Cup Classic for this Whitney. Breeders' Cup win, and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic this Whitney. Another look at Arthur's Ride. Graded Stakes debut. Andy, what do the stats tell us here? Bill Mott in dirt routes over the last 3 years, his trainer, Bill Mott.
Well, I'd like to see the ROI. Maybe they were short-priced horses, but he's had a good percentage doing it. Not sure how many were 7 or 8 to 1.
Here's the thing on Arthur's Ride. Can he be successful off the pace? I mean, because his wins have all been when he's made the lead out the gate. I just don't see that happening here. I can see him challenging, our big favorite, but I can't see him clearing our big favorite.
Oh, no, I completely agree with that. And I think it's what Jonathan was sort of hinting at with what he said. When he won last time, it was the most ideal circumstances. And he ran a huge race, a speed figure that would beat anybody in this race.
So Arthur's Ride might hold the key for all the other horses in this race that want to beat our big favorite, National Treasure. Because if he challenges him early and they push each other, then they weaken each other and it sets up for someone to close.
Those stats were brought to you by Stats RaceLens. RaceLens is a product of Equibase, the Thoroughbred Industry's official database. We check in with Richie.
Thanks, Lafitte. In a field full of very attractive, good-looking horses, I thought the 2 Disarm is an absolute standout. He is the most imposing individual I've seen in a very long time. He will be my top selection. He's already shown an affinity for an off-racetrack. He's shown that affinity for Saratoga, and he's finished in front of National Treasure. If you go back to last year's Travers, I think he has turned out, looks fantastic. The 5-horse First Mission also making a real nice impression. Agree with Andy, too big a price. And then the 10-horse Skippy Longstocking should sit a good trip, and the 11 is absolutely Arthur's Ride. I talked with Junior Alvarado, and he said that he's coming out running. He's going to try to make the lead. If he can't make the lead, then he'll adjust from there. But I think that ensures at least an honest pace. Maggie?
Well, you got the same information I got yesterday when I interviewed Junior Alvarado. He said, I don't care, we're going. It doesn't matter what anybody else does. Now, he hasn't given him the biggest warm-up, but they also kept him quiet in the paddock. I think he's a horse that you can't turn on too much because then you're never getting him back. As Junior also told me, being as he is a tappet and the gray tappets, they can be quirky and quite hard to deal with. Number 12, Charge It in here. Now, we saw John Velasquez keep him moving. I mean, he has not stopped with this horse, and I think it's because he is on the far outside. So he's hoping that he breaks running so he can try to get over and get a good position. But your current favorite in National Treasure, he looks fantastic. If anything, I think he's put on a bit of conditioning coming out of that Met Mile. So we'll see. It's all about National Treasure at 4 to 5. Acacia, do you like him?
I respect him, Maggie. I think he is very much the horse to beat, but I'm hoping with the information that you and Richie provided with Arthur's Ride and a couple of other horses who could potentially be a little forward, that there is going to be a little bit of pace on in here. That could potentially set it up for a horse like Krupe. I know that he has not yet shown that he is quite good enough in this spot, but I think that he's a horse that's showing that he has improved as he's gotten older. He showed in winning the Suburban that he could close from off of the pace. One of the only horses that week who really did much of that, and he's continued to impress me with how he has progressed Lafitte. Hopefully he gets the right kind of trip today.
And win, lose, or draw, Acacia, to everyone associated, a cheers to the breeder. Three Chimneys cheers to the breeder just to get to this point, to race in an event like the Whitney and perhaps going on to a Breeders' Cup Classic. Our cheers, a salute to the breeders of all the runners in the Whitney who've reached the starting gate, and the colors represented by the owners of the horses in the Whitney. Which of those colors will we see in the winner's circle? We're about to find out. Another look at National Treasure, odds on 4 to 5. Gentlemen, the start of the race is going to be fascinating.
It is. I mean, I think what you want to look at how much of a challenge the 3-horse National Treasure gets from anyone else in the field. And the most likely horse to challenge him is the 11, Arthur's Ride. If the 3-horse clears National Treasures on his own, it's Katie bar the door for everybody else.
Brittany Russell, trainer of Post Time, she's watching her husband, Sheldon, aboard Post Time. There he is. Andy, what would it take for him to be a factor and cause a major upset in this Whitney?
Post Time? Well, he's got to show that he can put that kick together going the 2 turns at 1 1/8 miles. And while he's a closing sprinter, a lot of those horses don't flourish going longer distances. But one thing I'll say in his favor, he closes in slow pace races, and he's going to get at least an honest, if not fast pace in this race. So if he can do it, he'll get his best chance.
Husband and wife trying to win this Whitney together. There's the favorite, National Treasure. JK, final thoughts.
Yeah, look, I think National Treasure's going to go to the front. I think the 11, Arthur's Ride, is going to get discouraged chasing him, sit right off of him, and Flavian Pratt's going to go wire to wire.
To the winner, a spot in the Breeders' Cup Classic starting gate. Todd Pletcher has been here before, 4-time Whitney winner. It is Post Time. Frank Mirmati with the call. Post Time for the Whitney.
Charge It to complete the line. Goes in. They're in the gate. And they're off in the Whitney. And Skippy Longstocking is very fast out of there. National Treasure came away in good order, but Arthur's Ride is up and on the pace, taking second. National Treasure will have to track the pace, about 2 off them, racing right on the inside of First Mission. Then it's another length back to Charge It, who's 3 deep. Post Time is right next to Warrior Johnny in mid-pack. It's another 3 lengths back to Bright Future, who races on the outside of Disarm, and Krupe is the trailer. The opening quarter in a good 23 1/5 seconds. They straighten up for the run down the backstretch, and Arthur's Ride asserts himself. Opens up almost 2 lengths on Skippy Longstocking in second. Then First Mission and National Treasure. National Treasure now moving into third once again. Charge It is next. Warrior Johnny trying to advance on the outside of Post Time, heading toward the half-mile pole. Then it's a big gap back to Disarm, Krupe, and Bright Future. Arthur's Ride went the half in 46 3. Jose Ortiz asking Skippy Longstocking to close after him in second. National Treasure still biding his time, 3.5 off the pace in third. Then First Mission, followed by Post Time. Warrior Johnny 8 lengths off the pace. It's another 5 lengths to Disarm, who is racing about a length and a half in front of Krupe, starting to launch his bid. Bright Future far back, 1:10-1 for 6 furlongs. Top of the stretch for Arthur's Ride, chased intently by Skippy Longstocking, and National Treasure still with plenty of work to do. Post Time is next, and Krupe coming fast in the center of the racetrack. A 16th to go, and Arthur's Ride still has a commanding lead. What a tremendous debut in stakes competition. The Grade 1 Whitney to Arthur's Ride. Krupe was second, Post Time finished third, and Disarm was fourth.
We wondered how good he was. We said this was the acid test. We just found out how good he is. Arthur's Ride rolls in the Whitney and punches his ticket for the Breeders' Cup Classic.
We still don't know if he's a good horseman off the pace, because he didn't have to do it today.
Number
he won his race on the lead
Arthur's
again.
Ride was first, 7 Krupe second, 1 Post Time third, and 2 Disarm was fourth.
Junior Alvarado's off his mount, but I can see Arthur's Ride is moving very spryly and good. Nothing to be concerned about there.
What a great ride and a game plan by them. They said, we are taking no prisoners. It's almost like Flavien Prat knew that was going to happen, because he did not want to engage this horse. And the horse inside of him went, Skippy Longstocking, and he still outrun him. And believe it or not, this is the first time trainer Bill Mott has ever won the Whitney.
And by the way, Arthur's Ride was not a good horse in the gate before the race. He's moving around, he's anxious around. He's lucky to catch the break correctly. Oftentimes horses like that, they don't get the break right.
Junior Alvarado back aboard. That you don't see that very often, what just took place there on the gallop out with Arthur's Ride and the rider jumping off. And how could you tell right away that he seemed okay?
Oh, you can see he's moving his legs well, doing everything right. And look, the rules of racing, you have to carry the weight to the wire, which Arthur's Ride most certainly did. It's okay that he came off. I didn't see exactly what happened, but I could see that Arthur's Ride is moving very, very well.
He was celebrating a little there, and I got to tell you, they had their plan to perfection, and I have to give them a ton of credit.
To Maggie with Whitney winning pilot, Junior Alvarado.
Well, he had a plan, guys, and he stuck to it. Junior, well done.
Thank you, Maggie. Yeah, I was planning, try to get out of the running, put some kind of fraction, 23.47. That's what I had in mind to try to do with him. And, like I said, if that means being on the lead or sitting second, that was the plan, just to get in a good rhythm. And, I think everything just went perfect today. I don't know what happened to the tree. I don't know if it didn't broke any good, but, like just being on the lead, I think we just a blessed for us today.
He also loves it here at Saratoga, too.
Yeah, he always has run great here in Saratoga. So I know I was pretty pleased with that, too, since, knowing that he always run a good race here. So, but today he was just fantastic.
Junior, you told me yesterday your plan, which I appreciate. You also told me how quirky he can be, and we saw it when you were trying to pull up. What happened?
He just spoke. I don't know what happened. He just decided to spoke and drop me, but, I still had a hold of the rein and, make me run with him for at least a good 16 miles. So.
Junior, your athleticism was on full display, and you shimmied back up on him. Go get your picture taken.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, Junior Alvarado with the win here with Arthur's Ride, guys.
Effort clearly didn't take too much out of Arthur's Ride. Richie, in a story of redemption. Junior Alvarado, Bill Mott denied last year in the Whitney with Cody's Wish. Get to the winner's circle this time with Arthur's Ride.
And this was no fluke. Arthur's Ride is fast. He's talented. He's game. Well, and they executed their plan. They told us what they were going to do. And, listen, everybody broke. I think it was a very fair break. But you could see Junior Alvarado's quarter horsing this horse. He is not taking no for an answer as far as making the lead. And once he was able to get comfortable in a good rhythm, it's not how fast you're going, it's how you're going fast. Man, this was just a really well-executed ride on a very good horse. And now watch what happens after the race. He half props and ducks to the right and drops Junior. Keep an eye on this right here. Now what? You know how hard this is to do, to hang on to the reins, run alongside a horse, keep your balance enough that you don't fall? This was almost as better and more impressive than the ride he just put on the horse in the race. I can't believe he kept his feet, guys. He was able to run alongside of him after he ducked out like that.
He had a million reasons to hold on to that horse.
I think it's just so impressive when you think about every horse that finished behind him were horses closing from way back. I mean, he just ran the other speeds off their feet and never stopped running himself.
I completely agree. He beat National Treasure by going the half mile in 46 and change, which is a sprint time, but he beat the rest of the field by going 6 furlongs in 1:10 flat, which is also extremely fast for a route race.
Beat National Treasure at his game.
You know what Junior would say about holding on? Curls, baby.
He's got the best
Curls.
biceps in the room. There's no question.
Jim Rat, Junior Alvarado, National Treasure defeated. Arthur's Ride dominant in the Whitney and on to the Breeders' Cup Classic at Del Mar this fall. Crowd still buzzing after that performance. Arthur's Ride had never run in a stakes race. Stakes debut, and he runs them off their feet in the Grade 1. Whitney earning a spot in the Breeders' Cup Classic starting gate in front of a massive crowd here. Whitney Day at Saratoga. FanDuel payouts. Arthur's Ride, $15.80 for your would-be $2 investment. Crouppy, husband and wife with Post Time. Sheldon, Brittany Russell, Post Time completing the trifecta to occasion the winner's circle.
I'm so thrilled to be joined by Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott. As Bill, this is your first victory in the Grade 1 Whitney. You told me some things are worth waiting for.
Yeah, and this one was really worth waiting for. He's a nice horse, great race. I mean, probably one of the most important races in Saratoga, and I've been longing to win this one.
Use that early speed, still lightly raced. Of course, this is a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Do you think about even bigger things down the line?
Well, you know, naturally, winning you're in, and we think he gets the 1.25 miles real well. And of course, we were planning on running, you know, after this race, going in the Jockey Gold Cup, which we still may do. And we'll see what happens after that. But, you know, he ran a huge race today. I was thinking that maybe National Treasure would be on the lead. We got off a little better than he did, and Junior, you know, did a great job on the front end, and the horse has a lot of stamina, and he kept going.
It was so exciting today. Congratulations to the whole team, Bill.
Thank you.
Lafitte?
He's trained some of the very best, cigar included. Hard to believe that's his first Whitney.
No, I talked to him about it, I think last year, actually. It's amazing because it seems like he's won every race 5 times.
He's won the Classic several times. A cigar among them, Drosselmeyer. We'll see about Arthur's Ride moving forward. A special thanks to Equibase, the industry's official database for thoroughbred racing stats and information. For our entire cast and crew, we thank you for joining us here at Saratoga. Fox Saratoga Saturday, right back at it next week for the 4-Star Dave and another loaded program at the Spa. On this day, just too much Arthur's Ride on to the Breeders' Cup Classic, but first that trip to the Whitney Winner's Circle. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you next week.